Ah. Podcastica. Welcome to another joint project from Wilhelm and Podcastica. I'm Ben.
I'm Jason.
I'm Doug.
And this is our end of the first season coverage of the brand new Amazon Prime show Fallout. Gentlemen, welcome to another joint project for this. I like when we do these.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me. Glad to be here.
Because Doug... Ben and Doug, you guys just met, but Doug has actually been a long time presence. He helped me interview Andrew Lincoln way back in the day, season 1 Walking Dead. And when I heard there was a Fallout show, you were the first person I thought of because I know you've played at least some of the games.
Well, all right. So
hell out of it, right?
Yeah. So, I guess I'll have to come clean here. I got into Fallout because of you. You actually gave me Fallout 4 for PS4 as a gift.
I did?
Yeah.
That's right.
I totally did that. You did. But
nice.
So that's really what guided me into it. I hadn't really wasn't even on my radar, even though I was a huge Oblivion and Skyrim fan. Fallout never. So anyway, so I'll have to credit you for that. And again, it's cool. It's been probably one.
I did not know that.
You don't remember gifting him the game?
No.
Some drunken night or something. Right?
Well, I mean, and that's interesting too, because Jason, I think if I'm correct, you've never played any of the games, right?
No, I've watched Doug play some Fallout 4 and it looks good. And it's one of those games that I thought I'm going to play this someday, but I just haven't gotten around to it because it does seem like my kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is. No. I mean, like I was saying, even though I was totally into the, sister games, whatever, the Elder Scrolls, again, it's just like, the game queue that we all have is just way too long, and anytime you add something to it, it's just like it pushes something else off. But yeah,
oh yeah, every time I start to play one game, there's like at least 3 or 4 that just get added to the queue. And it doesn't help that I go back and I replay games I've already played. For example, I just started replaying Fallout 4 again because of this show.
You and a million other people, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Watching Doug play, I just have a vague memory because I only watched you for like 1 or 2 sessions, and it just looked so cool, the juxtaposition of this sort of atomic age 50s stylings of, hey, peppy this and that and music, and then like death and destruction and decay, and that's all I remember. I don't remember any of the story. I know it's post-apocalyptic, but then how they incorporated that into the show is just really super cool.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys, I know we're kind of freeforming it here, but did you want to talk about the visual look of the show?
Well, we're gonna talk some of the video game stuff as well. We're gonna save that a little bit towards the end of the conversation because I know some people don't want to risk, like, if we bring up something in the game that we didn't see but we want to see, and
could be a spoiler.
It could be a spoiler for future seasons of the show. So we're going to keep that separate towards the end and just kind of stick to this first season of the show. But because the show's already out, most of us have already seen it. All 3 of us have already seen it.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about every episode, right?
So yes. So there are spoilers for the show within season this 1 conversation. So we don't have to hold back, but just so the listeners know, there's a potential for spoilers if you haven't finished the show yet. That being said, I figured what we could do to just kick off the conversation is kind of give like an overall rating of all 8 episodes. The first season as a total.
How many severed heads would we give it?
I was going to say like bottle caps, or like Nuka-Cola caps. So 1 to 10 caps. Doug, we'll start with you.
Man, right on the spot. Okay, so I'd have to say it was, certainly for getting the visual style and sort of having the fallout, sort of, how do I want to put it? Sort of like their I don't know how do you say it exactly, but there's a sort of a Fallout universe. I don't know if you want to call it that, and I think they nailed that pretty
well. The vibe, the aesthetic, the feel, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a Fallout. You can call it an aesthetic. Again, it's sort of the visual style, the sort of character, there's all sorts of Super Duper Mart and Nuka-Cola and Yum Yum Devil Eggs and all these things, right? Like there's all this stuff that's very much, sort of in their universe. And I think they pretty much nailed it to the point where, I don't know how much of it is CGI, but I figure there should be so much merch, bobbleheads and, food and drinks and all that stuff. Now, the thing is, they've already did that for the games decade ago.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe they're bringing it up, but again, they really should push all that again. So again, for visual style, a 10. For the audio, the music soundtrack and the audio design, I'd give that at least a 9 or a 10. I'm going to say the writing though has been a little iffy, particularly starting out. I thought it was there was definitely some growing pains on that. So I would, for story, and writing, I'm probably going to give that a 7 or 8. And then some episodes definitely were better than others. We're up there. So I don't know. What's that? An 8 or something?
Average it out, probably about an 8.5.
Yeah.
I'd say that's right around there. Jason, how about you?
I liked it a lot. I really, really liked it. I loved how it dropped you into this crazy world that's different enough and stylized enough from our own that even though, I wasn't even expecting to learn about how things came to be the way they were. I was just enjoying living in the world and seeing the characters. And so then later on, when we did get a lot of the backstory and questions answered, and also deeper themes and a broader, richer story than we thought we were getting, how things kept connected together and everything, that surprised me in a good way. So at first I was kind of thinking, yeah, this is a fun show. It looks cool. It's an adventure, but it's not that deep. And then when it turned out to be much more than met the eye, I liked it even more. So I'd probably give it a good 9.
All right. I'm kind of on the same level with you both. As somebody, similar to you, Doug, who has played a couple iterations of the game. I haven't played all of them. Mm-hmm. And just from what I've learned of this world, which in essence is kind of, I guess, like an alternate reality to our own, because we have cars that are powered by fusion and things like that.
Cryogenics and stuff.
Exactly, which we don't have in our own world. So it's kind of an alternate reality. But taking what little I knew of this world from the games that I've played and then watching the series, from episode 1, it kind of throws you right in. You're in that vault and you're kind of already learning more about the history of this world that the games didn't tell us right from the start. And like you, Jason, I was kind of intrigued the more and more I learned the history of everything that I already didn't know from playing the games, the more I was drawn into this world. And from the performances from a number of the actors to the soundtrack was phenomenal. I'm somebody, as Jason knows, I'm huge into music and of all generations. So, and the soundtrack is amazing. Hearing all those old school, songs pop into it. And Doug, as you mentioned, the visuals are just, I'm sure most of it is CGI, but I mean, come on, it's so well done that you believe this world exists.
I think if this show had come out 15, 20 years ago, it would be the show. Now the entertainment landscape is so fractured. But it would be the water cooler show that everyone was talking about.
It would be the new water cooler show, yeah.
It kind of is already a little bit, but not as much as it would have
So, I mean, my rating of it, I'd probably give it about an 8.5. I mean, I'm pretty high up there as well. The only reason I wouldn't bump it to 9 has actually nothing to do with the visuals or the music. It's the fact that Amazon released them all at once.
Yeah.
I wasn't crazy about that.
Me neither. And if they had released it weekly, we probably would have done a weekly podcast and gotten really deep into each episode. And I read in an interview, they had considered it, releasing weekly or the different release things, maybe doing a few at once and then more like they do sometimes. But they said something about how Reddit would figure things out if given enough time, basically that people would figure things out. And I was confused by that because I read that about 2 episodes in after I'd watched about 2 episodes. And I'm like, this isn't a mystery show. Why do we care about people figuring things out? But by the end, I realized, oh yeah, there's a ton of questions and there's twists and things. And I think, Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan are the executive producers behind this, and their previous big experiences with Westworld, which people did spend so much time trying to figure out. So I feel like maybe that informed their decision to put them all out at once, but I really wish they hadn't. I'd rather be able to chew on this show over a period of 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Doug. Sorry.
Well, I was going to, I don't know how, we would cover this a little more, but again, a big part of the Fallout show and the video games is the tone, right? They have to balance this very careful tone, like you were saying, with this sort of like hyper optimistic post-World War II, everything's swell, everything's great.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, everything's okie dokie, super swell. With, compare that with this totally bombed out, completely destroyed, mutated, everything's ugly. Yeah. Everything is broken. And
depraved, selfish, murderous monsters and
mutated. Thieves. Right. And that, I guess, awesome. Is the sort of Fallout tone, right? How to balance that sort of like hyper optimistic with this awful horribleness, right? The apocalypse. And then also is this very ironic tone, right? Like they're very much winking at us. Pretty much
campy.
Yeah. It's campy. They don't really try to get too far into camp because it's pretty serious stuff, but they're winking with both eyes, right? Like that is a big part of that. And,
they're blinking basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everything feeds into that, right? Like again, that 50, that post-World War II 50s hyper optimistic thing, the look, and then obviously the music, right? Like they sort of, those songs that they use are very, very much, meaningful, right? When they have Johnny Cash, "Don't Bring Your Guns to Town," when the ghoul has a big shootout, right? Like that's very meaningful. Yeah. So again, I think they really did nail that tone and that look so well.
Well, and it's really interesting, when you kind of think about it too, is that we're watching a show that takes place in this world, but within this world, there are 2 worlds of themselves. We have the surface world, which, as you mentioned, is kind of depraved and death and murderous, and then we have, the underground world and the vaults where people are naive and happy go lucky and okie dokie and
polite.
And then when you watch these stories play out, the surface level is where the story is very surface level itself, where everything is out in the open. You're just following along. Everything is how it seems. It's murderous. It's evil. And then it's down underground. It's the deeper world where we get the deeper story that's playing out with, these people are not really who they seem to be, but they don't know they're not these people. They
don't even know.
Yeah. I love how the stories play out the same way, whether you're on the surface or you're underground or deeper underground. That's how the stories play out as well.
You get these raiders that came down, and impersonated the people in Vault 32 so they could infiltrate. And then some of them get captured for a while and they're imprisoned, and the denizens of Vault 33 are like, we should educate them and we'll teach them about morality via Kant and whatever philosophers. And I'm like, Yeah, that's kind of ironic. You're talking about teaching them about morality when the reason you're here is because the company that built your home tried to kill everyone on the surface. Yeah. And I love that irony.
Yeah. But, going back to something you said earlier, Jason, too, about, the release schedule of the show and how Amazon put it out all at once. And you said, like, had the show come out weekly, we probably would have podcasted on it weekly and done a deeper dive in each episode. That was the original plan when the show was announced, because Amazon releases, I think this is the first series they've released everything at once. Usually they're weekly.
Yeah, like Wheel of Time,
Lord of the Rings, Invincible, like The Boys, everything they release. Occasionally they'll release like the first 3 and then everything else is weekly.
Yeah.
But we just assumed when this show was announced, it was going to be weekly. So that was the plan. And then if you
believe this interview I read, they did it because they didn't want people figuring out the secrets before everyone had a chance to watch it.
I can buy into that, especially like you mentioned with Westworld.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that is much of this show is based on these secrets? Like, is this a Lost style mystery, where there's everything super deep?
To me, yeah. Well,
because I didn't feel
the problem with Lost is the mysteries were core to the show, and then they ended up being kind of irrelevant, and the answers were not satisfying. But there were other things in the show that were. In this show, like I said, because it's so different from our own world and interesting, and Arch, like you said, the tone is important. That's what you were getting at, right, Doug? That there's a lot of things going on for this show besides that stuff. So it's not the core of it, in my opinion. The most delightful things about the show are the visual design, the thrills, the humor, and the drama of it. But there is also this crazy story with the twists and turns that's a part of it. It's one factor to me. It's not the factor.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about the games later, but I didn't feel like the story, those kinds of mysteries were really that big of the games even. Like the bombs already went off. The whole world's destroyed. There's no, there's no mystery what's going to happen, right? It's nice to know this backstory, right? And it's cool. And they do.
But I think that's the way the show's different from the games, because it's not the whole thing, like I said, but it is a significant part, 20% or something, especially the last few episodes. They really delved into the mind-blowing revelations and all that.
Yeah, I mean, the things that we find out about Vault Tech and they're this evil corporation, with the world that we live in now, had that been spoiled for me ahead of time, it wouldn't have affected me watching the show. It would have been like, oh, Big Corp is bad. Okay, we got it. It's moving on. Let's keep watching.
Yeah, my favorite, I have a whole list of funny things here, but my favorite is when we see Cooper's wife, Barb, in a meeting with the other executives of Vault Tech and telling them that, and other companies that they're partnering with. She's saying that they have hundreds of vaults spread across America, enough for each of you to claim several, where you can play out your own ideas for how to create the perfect conditions for humanity. Whatever you want to do, no one needs to know, and may the best idea win. And then the execs start shouting out all their ideas. We could intentionally overcrowd a vault so people have to compete to survive inside it. We've been developing a robot that delivers milk to the front door. It's quite intelligent. I would like to see a vault governed by it. What about using a vault to develop a super mutant soldier using illegal immigrants? We could pump psychotropic drugs into the air supply. We could separate parents and children, and only the smartest kids reach adulthood.
So that's a huge part of the Fallout sort of universe.
Yeah.
Vault Tech is not a good corporation. And in fact, like in that super hyper optimistic, everything's swell, we'll be able to survive after the bombs fall. No, basically they wanted to take their money and use them for weird experiments.
Yeah.
So mostly sadistic ones at that, right? Like, they're just doing it just more or less for fun, or just as often.
Right. Well, you learn that they halted the spread or the development of fusion, which would provide unlimited energy, and that would have ended the Sino-American War that is raising all these tensions about nuclear war, and it would have probably stopped nuclear war just because they want to sell these vaults fiduciary obligation to their shareholders, which is a commentary on capitalism. I think that's one of the themes: individuality and capitalism versus, if you say it in a dirty way, communism, but also just caring about people and stuff.
Let's just say I don't know, it's a spoiler, but again, the Chinese don't come up looking so good either.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's an a-hole.
Yeah, but yeah. So again, the idea is that they're basically selling the vaults, but really it's just a front for doing these weird scientific experiments by these crazy mad scientists, and it brings in like a lot of the 50s, sort of like B-movie sci-fi stuff. I mean, it's like right out of that, right? And like the weird robots, are like very much from that era.
Well, that's what Vault 4 I sort of pieced together, because you see Cooper in the past at that, was it at the party or somewhere, and he sees the Vault 4 scientist, or maybe it was when he was filming the commercial.
He was filming the commercial, and it was in Vault 4 that he filmed that commercial.
Yeah. And that was going to be where they have scientists leading it. And then you find out they tried to hybridize radioactive people with regular people, and it created these monsters that attacked them.
Yeah. 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 So it's all this weird sort of like B-movie science, sci-fi stuff that they're playing off of. Like that's, again, all they have so much, sort of like cultural ephemera that they can just sort of mix in and come up with this sort of stew of just like, again,
right.
Everything is crazy, over the top and bizarre. And,
what's great about it is a commentary on the dangers of capitalism and how that can be destructive to society and everyone, if it's too extreme or whatever you think. So it's relevant, right? But also there's such a joy in how they present it that it's super fun too. Like it's violent and awful and fun.
Yeah, I mean, and if you've ever seen any other post-apocalyptic movie, or some kind of like Deep Impact, or The Last Day on Earth or whatever, it always turns out that the big corporations are always more about greed than they are of actually saving humanity. I think the bigger spoiler of Fallout would have been Vault-Tec actually being a good company.
Yeah.
That would have been a bigger spoiler than them turning out to be the company that they actually are.
There was a documentary about corporations about maybe 15, 20 years ago that kind of compared, it's a systemic thing. Like a corporation is hungry for profit just by its nature and at the expense of people's well-being. And they compared that to the mind of a psychotic person. And it's the same, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we were to sort of psychoanalyze a corporation, it would be a psychopath.
Yeah. That's what this movie was saying.
Yeah. Continuing on with, talks about the story and such, one of the things, and again, like as we kind of discussed, we'll dive into the game and make the comparison from the game, what we know about the game to the show later. But I enjoyed really learning more about this world than what I didn't know from, one of my favorite parts of this whole thing was even before Lucy even leaves the vault, there's so much like little nuance and so much little fun stuff about them living as this commune between these three different vaults. The fact that they marry off one of them as kind of like it's a trade, in essence. Is a marriage is a trade amongst these people. But before they become married, it's kind of okay. Incest is allowed. That made me chuckle quite a bit. The fact that she was sleeping with her cousin for practice.
Were they actually going all the way, or were they just fooling around?
Oh no, I'm pretty sure they were actually sleeping together.
Oh, that's
let's say it was implied pretty heavily. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, like, if you look
only
at
watched
this,
it once, so.
if you look at this environment, though, like, who else are they going to like?
Yeah.
It's kind of.
I thought it was strange. I love when she's like, "What's your sperm count?" to the guy, that she thought was going to be her husband. Like, she's focused on propagating the species, and it made sense. It's funny too. But what I thought was a little weird is when she was just hanging out with Maximus. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Later, and they didn't seem to have any chemistry to me. And all of a sudden, she said, "Do you want to have sex?" Didn't that seem to come out of left field? Anybody else or?
I kind of thought that was supposed to be like there was something going on in that vault that was making people like act crazy, like, and again subtly. So like, again, I may have just been reading into that, but they made that, like, the titled episode was The Trap. So the whole thing was like, it was like already very hallucinatory to begin with.
That was a good episode.
You might be onto something with that too. I mean, especially considering that, it's in Vault 4 that happens. There's mention, as you know, Jason, as you mentioned, when the Vault Tech people were talking about all the different things they could do, putting psychotropics in the air was one of the experiments they could have done.
Yeah,
and the room that they came out of was labeled test subjects.
Yeah.
So, and you might be onto something with that.
Okay, well that would shed some light, because I thought it seemed weird for her to do.
And again, like you were,
not judging it. I just thought it was
marked as sexual content, but there really wasn't much actually. Like
in the first episode,
they had some sexy time, but it wasn't that much,
it wasn't full rated X or anything.
Well, I mean, again, it was very brief and not that much. And most of the series is almost asexual, from sort of a hot lead walking around in a tight suit all the time. It ends up not being all that sexy somehow.
It was funny when Maximus was like, "Oh, I don't want to have sex because then," what did he say? Like, my penis will get hard and pop like a pimple.
Yeah.
She's like, "Yeah, that's kind of the idea."
Yeah, like, these people are like sort of like children, in a lot of ways, in terms of maturity. Even though they're out blasting people's heads off and such, but okay. So
it's the uncivilized world.
The uncivilized world. Well, okay. So I guess, what I'll maybe sort of bring up is that, again, like Ben, you were mentioning, there's sort of like this duality, right? It's these underground, overground. There's a lot of like seeing these dual versions of people, right? So you saw, the ghoul sort of as a human and then as a ghoul, right? And then you see the vault dweller, and then suddenly she's now looking like a raider, right? Like she's covered in blood and she's got the outfit and everything, right? So that's now two versions of her.
But also duality in good versus evil and the gray area in between, where I love when you see Cooper in his movie and he's about to kill somebody and then he stops and says, my character wouldn't do this. And that's juxtaposed with how he turned out later.
Yeah. So
or wait, let me mention one more. The guy that Matt Berry played, the guy from What We Do in the Shadows,
Snap.
a comedian. Yeah. So you see him as, and I love, like, this kind of goes back to my earlier comment about how the show kind of dropped us into the world, but then it would explain things later. So you see him as this snip organ harvester robot, and then later you find out that he was an actor who lent his voice to probably an earlier prototype or that led to that robot or something. But then they have this great transition where Cooper and the actor guy that Matt Berry plays are just like cheersing each other to the future, and then they cut to Cooper as a ghoul in the future, and Matt Berry robot has just been like destroyed, and he's spouting out his last few words. That was so cool.
That was
I interrupted.
All out. Was it? Did you guys check? Was that actually the Mr. Handy voice actor guy?
Yes.
So he played the voice actor. Now has a lot, of this a live role, I guess.
Well, you mean from the? He's not the voice from the game.
Okay, but it's the guy that Cooper was having drinks with, Matt Berry.
Okay. Because that was kind of weird, because it was like, wow, it's Mr. Handy. Like they said it was like he was the voice actor for it. Mm-hmm. But I was trying to see, did they actually get the real? Because it was his voice, right? That's the Mr. Handy voice. Even from
Matt Berry did both. Yeah, in the show.
In the show, not
that's
in the
my
game.
Point. Yeah. Okay. So the story is that the Matt Berry plays an actor who lent his voice to the robot, and somehow that ended up being the voice of Snip.
It ends up in perpetuity. It's like the voice of every robot, and because it's one of those things when I was watching, because I'm a huge What We Do in the Shadows fan. Like, I adore that show so much that the moment he started speaking, I was like, I know that voice.
And it's great they got him, and they got Fred Armisen to play this DJ guy who kills anyone that comes to complain about.
There's so many cameo appearances in this show. We'll talk about that when we get to some of the performances. But Doug, back to your point.
Well, again, so I was just talking about there's a lot of just this duality, right? You see two people in, one role or another, right? And they kind of go back and forth. And I thought that was, kind of done in a sort of a cool way. And it's sort of like to highlight that is, like you were saying, we don't know really who these people are. We're sort of dropped in and we don't know the universe even, or their backstories or a whole lot. So then they play on that by going back and forth and really sort of confusing you a bit.
Moldaver, you think she's the bad guy, then maybe she's kind of the good guy. Lucy's father, he seems like a good guy, maybe kind of a bad guy.
Yeah, exactly. And some of these, they're they look like your trusted overseer, but they're actually a double plan or something. Like again, so it was sort of really interesting to see how they worked that out and how they were able to sort of bring the story across again with these dual roles. So again, I did sort of keep an eye out for that, sort of see how they sort of changed over time or, as they went back and forth.
Well, I love that because it's sort of, I just like the idea that you can't always take things as they seem on first glance. That's kind of the lesson here. And the fun of it is there's twists and stuff, but the deeper lesson is there's more to people than might meet the eye at first,
Yeah, well, even Cooper himself or the ghoul is like, there's a lot of duality to his character too, not just in, the past to the present. There's a lot of duality just in his present form as the ghoul too, because he really comes off as a villain in the beginning only to find out what his true purpose is and the length
to find his family
to go to get to that. Yeah, exactly.
Find his daughter.
Yeah.
He reminded me of the Man in Black from Westworld a lot.
There are a lot of similarities that I picked up on with that too.
Yeah.
So
So do you guys know who's doing the writing?
Well, there's some names, but I don't really know them. Okay, I mean, I think at least Jonathan Nolan directed the first three, and I think they help write.
Okay, too. Cool. Yeah, I'm just sort of curious if you any of those names sort of caught your guys' eye.
There was some guy who used to write for Silicon Valley, which was an excellent show.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it now. Chaz Hawkins is one of the head writers. Doesn't look like. Oh, wait a minute. No, why is he listed? He's listed as an executive story editor, but when I click on his link on IMDb, he's a camera and electrical department.
Okay. See, Doug, you said the writing at first you had some trouble with. I'm curious to know what you mean, because I thought the whole thing, especially the dialogue and the jokes and stuff, were really well done.
Yeah. Again, a lot of this, it's kind of getting that tone, right? And it's a fine balance, and I'll have to say that probably I was a bit, I come from playing the games so much that universe and stories are all sort of ingrained in me. But I guess the thing is, like, particularly in the first episodes, again, you sort of like the mystery, but I was like, man, there's sort of just throwing out, there's sort of a difference between, having a sort of a well thought out and well constructed story based on a universe, or just having call outs to the fanboys. Right. So,
yeah. Or like just withholding things to keep us baited. Like, I can be pretty critical of that kind of a thing, but when they weave into the story why you wouldn't know yet, then it's better for me. And so it made more sense that this secret would have also been kept, like, from the denizens of the vaults, of what the true nature of the vaults are and stuff like that. So then it's better.
Yeah, so I guess my take was that, I mean, there's sort of those story things, but it's just sort of like, you get dropped into this. You don't know what the vaults are. You don't know what Vault-Tec is. You don't know what these people are, their roles. You don't know what the outside world is. You don't know really anything, right? And
yeah, so you don't know what the Brotherhood of Steel. You don't know why the war started. You don't know anything.
Yeah,
you pretty much, as an audience,
people live for 200 years.
You pretty much
have questions. By the way, I want to ask you guys some questions and see at some point if you can answer them.
As an audience member, you pretty much start out as a vault dweller. You are just as in the dark as the vault dwellers are. Exactly
even more
what
in
they
the
are.
dark. I don't know.
You don't even know about the vault dollars, right? All these things that they're bringing up that you have no clue about. So I just well, again, is it just call outs to the fanboys and they're just going to put in these references just because, okay, there it is? Or is it part of this, again, overall narrative?
Right. And I mean, I wondered, because I haven't played the games, whether you guys would receive it differently than me, because you do know probably more of the backstory than I do, I would presume. But I didn't care that I didn't know that. It didn't impact me. And also, while I'm on that subject, when you're watching something that's based on a game, one thing that can really take you out of it is if it feels video gamey, which is a problem with most video game movies up until like The Last of Us, which totally didn't do that at all. And with this one, it was great. The only thing that felt video gamey to me were the stim packs, but I thought, that's a cool nod. I don't care. It didn't take me out of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even going along with, the element of the mystery of everything, for the first couple episodes, I felt like, okay, this is just an adventure story. This is, and
that's great.
A girl's father got kidnapped. She's about to go out into this world she's never faced before to rescue her father. It's more of an adventure. It's not until I think we really meet Wilzig, which is Michael Emerson's character, that now they've injected an element of mystery. Mm-hmm. Who is this guy? Why does everybody want him? What does he have that everybody wants?
Because all the questions we had before that, like, how did these mutants come about? Or like, it's things that I wouldn't necessarily expect to get an answer to in a show like this, and so I wasn't thinking of it as a mystery show until, like you said, like, what is in this guy's head? We want to know that. Like, clearly we've got to know what that is.
It's kind of, you're right. Like, as audience members, we can kind of be like, oh, this is nuclear fallout. This is this
fantasy world,
the cause of nuclear fallout. Mm-hmm. And we can accept that as kind of viewers and
there's vaults players. Because people made vaults to get away from it, and that's enough, really.
Exactly.
So the vaults are a clear reference to those 50s underground bomb shelters, right? That were really popular back then. When one of the next level as a corporate sort of product.
When Lucy's in that town trying to get information from this old woman, and she says something about the vaults are just where rich people went to hide away or something derogatory. And it made me think of Mark Zuckerberg, who it was reported fairly recently that he's creating this huge multi-million-dollar compound in Hawaii. And I'm like, Mark Zuckerberg is getting ready to hide away in case the shit hits the fan. That doesn't make me feel good. I think a lot of rich people are probably doing stuff like that.
Well, I think actual vaults like this, or at least one, like, actually exists. Isn't there something like in like Yucca Mountain, like that the government has, like, is set for this specific reason? It is a safe zone for a nuclear war.
So there's a number of these for, like, I know for the federal government, right? For like the president and the vice president and the cabinet, there are places for those people. Apparently they're somewhere under Washington, D.C. or thereabouts, and probably others. So, and again, this is all reference to stuff they were doing in the 50s, right? Like, that was
when I was doing I used to work for Parallels, a software company that is a Russian company. And so I went, this was about, 8 years ago now. I went to Moscow to meet the team and hang out. And on our day off, they took me to this it's now like a tourist attraction, but it was one of the Russian leaders. Who was the leader in the 60s? Khrushchev or somebody? It was an underground, way, way, way deep underground vault, and for nuclear, so we went down in there, and there was all this memorabilia from that time down there. And then they did this sort of experience where all the lights went off and you see this red flashing emergency light, and you hear Russian talk coming over the loudspeaker, and my friend was whispering in my ear what it was saying, and it was like, the missiles from the other side have been launched.
Wow.
That's really where the leaders would have been. I was like, man, I feel like I'm in the wrong place right now.
Yeah, I would have been afraid they were actually locking me in this damn vault.
Yeah, they have any test subjects or?
I got out alive, so
I have a
nose on my forehead now, but other than that, I'm fine.
Psychotropics in the air.
So, all right, so maybe I'll just follow up with the story stuff. I guess even though I had been playing the games and I knew this universe back and forth, I was still confused when I was watching it. Like, what is they doing here? And what's that? And, maybe I had expectations of what it should have been, but, like whether they explain it more, but like the games, there just wasn't a mystery. Everything about it is pretty much at face value, right? Like, again, it's got some ironic twists, but it's a bombed out world and you're getting shot at, and that's, and you're getting radiated, and that's, there isn't a whole lot more to it. So, and then I'm going to also say this. I said that the audio was good, but the dialogue mixing was terrible. There were a lot of times I couldn't understand what the hell they were saying. So that made it even harder to watch because I didn't understand what was, couldn't figure out what was going on because they were trying to make it a mystery, and then I couldn't hear what they were saying. So I was spending a lot of time trying to mess with the volume because it would go up and down, and again, just inaudible. Like I'm sitting here like, what are they saying? I have no clue. So that just made it harder to watch as well. So I was like, oh man, I have to struggle to watch this stupid thing. But they got better with the audio mixing. So this is where my criticisms, they mix it for sound effects and the music soundtrack and not for the dialogue. So the music sounds pristine and perfect. You never have a problem understanding any of the music, but you can't hear the dialogue. All right. So that drove me nuts a little bit. But again, it seemed to get better as it went on. And then they were, once they, the mystery is out there, right? They don't explain it, right? But here's what it's the setup, right? Once there's the setup, then, okay, I get it. And now you can get on with the story a little bit more. Okay. So then I'm going to bring up one other thing here. So the main character in the video games is called the Lone Wanderer, right? But Lucy did not spend almost any time alone. She had multiple companions at many different times in the show. So that was kind of interesting, right? Because, well, she can't be by herself because then you can have dialogue, right? And they need to have dialogue for a show.
And they have to tailor that to the format. In a game, it's easier to be on your own. Yeah.
And even in the times that she was alone, she was still talking to a head.
Yeah.
So they could still continue using it. Was really actually a nice little tool that they had so that she could continue to have dialogue in the show.
It's funny.
Without just like kind of walking and talking to herself.
Yeah.
She was talking to a head that in essence was her companion.
Yeah. And I was surprised if they were going to get Michael Emerson, who maybe he's bigger to me because I am still a big Lost fan, but
that's my favorite character
years ago now.
Yeah.
I was surprised he had such a small role, and I thought Jenny and I were like, I wonder if that head's going to start talking at some point.
Right. Is this going to be some sort of like Greek tragedy thing?
Yeah.
It's going to become Swiss Army Man, where the corpse is going to start talking and doing all these cool things.
But yeah, did they really just write him out? You don't think he's coming back?
I don't think. How are you going to come back from that?
Oh, they can make a talking head. Oh, come on.
One sort I guess criticism I have of the show, even though it is sort of I think campy, at least sort of heightened tone, that when people got injured, they barely seem to register it. Like he gets his foot blown off and he's like, oh man, she gets her finger cut off and they just sew it back on and she's fine. It kind of lowered the stakes in my opinion.
Okay.
Just chalk it up to nuclear fallout. I mean,
I'm trying to think here.
I mean, it would be
taken off pretty well.
It would be interesting if a way they could bring Michael Emerson, if they could bring Wilzig back, is if you find out that he was actually in Vault 31 too, but made it to the surface and blended in with people outside, because then you could get him back in flashbacks.
Yeah. Well, they also got the Robo Brains. They brought that in, so they can always make a Robo Brain Emerson.
Robo Brain.
Yeah.
That was the guy Bud.
It was the
oh yeah.
It looked like a Roomba, with the
but in the past he was kind of the salesman-y guy.
I'll tell you, that was actually, I was following along with the story pretty well, going through everything, and not to say I was willfully trying to predict things as they happen. I was just going along for the ride and everything, and nothing was really coming as a big surprise. The moment, though, that I was kind of like, oh, that's cool, was the fact when it finally clicked that Cooper's biggest fan's name was Hank, and her and Lucy's father's name was Henry. And when it finally clicked, I like, oh, Hank is short for Henry. Hank is a nickname for Henry. And it clicked before I finally saw that he was actually from back in the 1950s. That was the aha moment for me watching the show.
Yeah.
And also the fact that the caretaker who took over after Henry was kidnapped, after Henry was taken away, I think Peggy was her name, or Patty. I should know. I have it like right.
You mean the overseer?
The overseer, yeah, not caretaker.
Yeah.
Betty.
Betty.
But yeah, played by Leslie Unknown, who's great. Creepily played by. But Betty was the secretary at Vault-Tec that introduced Cooper and Hank.
Yeah, and so like that was one of the mysteries. Why did people from Vault 31 keep getting transferred over, and why do they always end up being elected leaders? And then you find out that they were cryogenically frozen executives of Vault-Tec who would be taken out every once in a while to keep things going, right? That's what I got.
Well, not just executives, because as I mentioned, Betty was a secretary.
Yeah, okay.
So,
anybody
employees
of
Vault-Tec, yeah. If you worked for Vault-Tec, you got a place.
When they were management, that was why he was saying management is key.
Yeah.
So, did you guys watch the shorts?
No.
Oh, I didn't even know there were shorts.
Yeah, which is bizarre because they did make shorts, but you have to really scroll down on that Amazon Prime page, past the music, past the everything. Oh, and now there's some shorts. So they actually use the same visual style and animation style as the game, right? Like, if you play Fallout 4 and you bought the special movies, it's the same ones, right? Mm-hmm. But they're all Vault-Tec management videos.
Oh, nice
videos, right? And and it's with Bud. Remember Bud?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. He's the brain guy. He's in the brain.
He does them all.
That's kind of fun. I'm going to have to go back and look for that.
Yeah. They're pretty fun. They're good. I mean, they're only a few minutes, but again, they use the same visual style, animation style as the Fallout 4 games for those. Again, so they're humorous, little ones.
It's cool.
Yeah.
So can I ask some questions and see if I missed something or if you guys don't know the answer either?
Yeah, sure.
An okay time for that.
All right.
So
bonus round.
Is this going to take us into game talk, or is this just the history of the world?
I'll skip the game one. So how did Moldaver survive 200 years?
I think that's still a mystery that has yet to be unraveled. I think that's going to be a bigger play into season 2.
Okay.
But we've already seen that they can cryogenically freeze people.
Yes.
So it probably has.
So if we don't know, it's like you can always fall back on that one.
Because if you're going to be a ghoul, you would become deformed, right?
Yeah. So again, I don't recall them really talking about ghouls all that much. Although that
might be a game thing to talk about.
They brought him out of the grave, and they had that drip in him. So there's some drugs involved with this. But
what I got from the ghoul, just from watching the show, is that you drink this serum that this snake oil salesman gave to the other squire, and that's one way at least to turn you into a ghoul. And then once you're a ghoul, it seems like you got it pretty good because you're now immortal and invulnerable, and you don't have to worry about radiation or anything, but you need to keep taking this other drug or else you'll turn feral, basically into like a zombie.
And that's basically it. Like your lifespan is extended. You're not immortal. Like you can still die. You can still be,
killed. Yeah.
You can still be killed. It's kind of like a zombie, the headshot, takes him out. Because we saw the ghoul take multiple shots to the body in that gunfight in Philly. But basically what happens in a ghoul is that you become your body doesn't rot. It just becomes radiated, and your lifespan is extended, and it's hit or miss when you become a ghoul that you can keep your mental capacity, but for the most part, most of them kind of lose it and become feral.
And what I don't know, and maybe we shouldn't answer it if it's in the games but not in the show, is why? Why Why? What is the serum? Why did this happen?
So they don't really, from what I recall from the games, I'm not going to give anything away here, is that they don't really cover that all that much, but it was supposed to be that they're irradiated and mutated, and that led them to.
But it seemed like there was a catalyst here, that serum or whatever the guy took.
Yeah. So again, I don't.
Yeah.
Sure. So something they came up with for the show, but again, they're supposed to be or it was supposed to be some Vault-Tec experiment by some crazy scientist that was trying to create a radiation-resistant human.
Right. Because that's
a ghoul.
When this guy Bud was talking about needing a lot of time, I wondered if his ideas had something to do with the creations of the ghouls. But then there was the cryogenics, so I don't know. But back to Moldaver, I think I did miss this, but she died, right? She died in the end, and I didn't understand how. I need to go back and watch. Probably
she was shot in the gunfight,
in the attack from the Brotherhood of the Steel. Okay,
yeah, she had something in her abdomen, and I don't know if it was a knife or it was she got shot, but yeah, she got hurt in that gunfight.
So she's not a ghoul then, because that wouldn't have killed a ghoul. So
she's not a ghoul.
So since Vault-Tec and Moldaver were at odds before the bombs went off because they took all her cold fusion companies and wouldn't let her continue on with her developments, how come Hank didn't know her when she first came in from Vault 32? Did he see her?
Well, so it's kind of underlying. They don't exactly address it, but my take on this is Hank knows her because of his wife, Rose. I think Rose, when she goes to the surface, because there's that new town that's built and then they decide to bomb it again.
Shady Sands.
Rose goes to Shady Sands because remember, Lucy has that memory of going to Shady Sands with her mother, with Rose. I think Rose and Moldaver were in a relationship. I think there was a romantic relationship between the two of them.
So why she kept her alive as a ghoul?
Yeah, that's why she was still alive as a ghoul.
But why? But my question is, because she posed as an inhabitant of Vault 32, but actually was an interloper, and when they came in, she said, "I'm the leader of Vault 32." Wasn't Hank there? I can't remember because I only watched it once. But wouldn't?
Yeah, because she had the father-daughter dance and all this stuff.
Wouldn't he have said, "Oh, I know you. I don't like you"?
But I don't know if. Oh, that's right. She did. That's right. She came to the vault door.
Yeah, she said like she was the overseer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Henry should have known who she was.
And she led a bunch of raiders to kill all the vault dwellers too. So that was a little iffy.
So here's another question. I am not totally clear on what exactly happened to the original inhabitants of Vault 32. I feel like they tried to kill themselves, or they did kill themselves, and there was a thing on the wall that said, "We know the truth." And also I think there was a record of Lucy's mother, Henry's wife, using her Pip-Boy thing to get in there. So I think she got in and told them what was going on, but I still don't know if that explains why they are all dead.
So they looked totally like crazy. Like one of them killed themselves by putting a fork in the toaster, and they were strangling each other and all this stuff. So all I could think was they were just doing more of those Vault-Tec experiments on the vault dwellers, and it went awry, and they all ended up going crazy and killing each other.
But these are supposed to be the vaults for the managers, not the experiment vaults. The good vaults, as Barb says.
There are still a lot of people in those tubes in Vault 31.
Yeah, and they could be experimenting on them too.
There's still a lot of management that have yet to be thawed.
Yeah.
I don't understand how the people in 32 die. And then there was also something about maybe they just ran out of resources and there was too overpopulation, and I don't know.
Could be more to add for season 2.
Yeah. So I didn't, the best I could, again, it seemed like they kept that as a mystery, but I just thought they were some weird experiment, but so I don't know. So go ahead. Yeah. So I don't know.
That's all I had.
Oh, okay. Okay. So here's what kind of sort of story-wise I had a couple of questions about. So when the Raiders in the first episode, they come in, they kill everyone. Dad leaves. Lucy's gonna leave to go find him. So she goes to the armory and pulls out a weapon. And what weapon does she pull out? The dart gun.
The tranquilizer gun, yeah.
Yeah. So why would she take a tranquilizer gun to protect herself to go up to the surface when we know she's already aware of raiders because they went and killed a bunch of their...
I can easily answer this because she's nice.
Yeah, it's the naivety of her character.
Yeah, but
she thinks she can save them.
It's not smart, but it's nice. It's the least aggressive way to, she thinks, handle the problem of somebody harassing you.
Yeah, but I mean, they
put them to sleep without actually hurting them.
Yeah, but again, they just had those raiders that killed all their fellow.
You might not like the answer, but that's it.
Well, again, so my take is like, it's not like they're, they made them sound like these totally naive, almost childlike, innocent people.
Absolutely.
They also were strong enough and had enough guns to fight off a bunch of raiders.
I mean, that was her the whole series, Doug. She didn't want to hurt anybody. She kept saying the golden rule: treat people the way you want to be treated. She gave Cooper, the ghoul, his chems even after he wouldn't give her water, and she was just a nice person and trying to be kind to people as much as she possibly could get away with. And it's not smart, but I know you're right. Like the raiders came down and killed people, but then even they were arguing what to do with the leftover raiders that were prisoners. We should teach them philosophy. There was only one guy that's saying we should take care of them.
Yeah. But it's easier to do that when they're locked up, right? Like they had no problem of fighting them off and defending.
But then when Lucy went to the surface world, she was over trusting at first,
Well, and I think there are hints too, because if you remember a particular conversation between, what is her brother's name?
Chet, is it? Or
I think no, Chet's the cousin.
The guy. Oh, that's right.
Norm was her younger brother.
That's a great name.
After Lucy is already out on the surface, there's a conversation where they're discussing what to do with these raiders. And Stephanie comes up to Norm and says, "They killed my husband. Henry would have done what's right." And then it's not, you don't know it at that time, but you realize later that Stephanie came from Vault 31. She is management of Vault Tech. Mm-hmm. This was her planting an impulse in Norm's head of what to do with these raiders, which because
she didn't grow up in this idealized, naive world.
No, she came from the real world. Yeah. So she has these violent tendencies or these kind of, animalistic tendencies that these
or you
guys
might say
don't
pragmatic.
have.
Some people may.
Well, yeah.
It's debatable, right?
But that could have also been a hint as to what happened in Vault 32 is because that's just the way they decided to resolve things. So, but again, when you go back and when you think of that scene with Stephanie and Norm, because at the time you don't realize who she is, and then once you realize it, you go back and you look at that scene. It's like, oh yeah, she's kind of like she's influencing him big time.
Well, I thought
there's a lot of stuff if you go back and watch. I think I haven't yet, but that you.
I haven't either, but I plan to.
I was reading some of the summaries in the wiki and how Cooper would, or as the ghoul would, shoot the Vault Boy icon. He's angry at it, but you find out he's the inspiration for that whole thumbs up thing in the commercial, so it takes on a new significance. Things like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think I just thought the thing with Stephanie is that she just wanted to get revenge for, her family getting killed. It was just like, there was the competing impulses of whether to treat them, humanely or to kill them. Right. And she wanted to sort of plant that seed, but it seemed like more out of it just a revenge thing. Like, I'm going to get back at him.
I don't see it that way. I mean, because she married somebody from Vault 33 who she did it for the sake of the experiment. I mean, look at what happens after her husband is dead. Within days, she's sleeping with Chet. I don't think her husband meant anything to her. He was just part of the experiment.
Well, only when Chet puts the shirt on and she calls him Bert, though. So
yeah. So again,
but still,
it's and they like I think what you're saying though is pretty valid. Is that everything takes on a new tinge, right? Once you understand that their characters now
who they are.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know. So more of those mysteries.
The biggest mystery to me, when I look back at everything, and maybe if I go back and I rewatch, which I will, I'll see clues to it, is I want to know more about Cooper. I want to know more about the ghoul because, we see things leading up to it, but the very first thing we see with Cooper is aptly named. The name of the episode is called The End, which is when the bombs drop. And then the finale is called The Beginning. We see that, Cooper is with his daughter, the bombs go off and he's riding off, with his daughter. But then when we see him at the end of the series, he says, "Where's my family?" Mm-hmm. So what happened between the times the bomb went off to people were locked in the vault? Like, if his daughter is still alive or cryogenically frozen, how did she get in there? What happened in that time that she got in there and Cooper didn't?
Yeah, so there was that scene with the birthday party where the bombs go off and then the owner, the host has his own bomb shelter and he actually punches somebody out who tries to get in.
Yeah. And does he know, because it's 219 years later, but he's saying, "Where are they?" So that would suggest he seems to have at least some reason to think they're still alive.
Well, she's management.
Yeah.
So, if
the wife, with the daughter,
his wife is management.
The daughter's just a little girl, so I guess it would be your loved ones too, huh?
Now here's a question. Here's a question I'm going to pose to you guys, and this is more hypothetical. Has Cooper been on the outside world all this time, or did he make it to the vault and spend time in the vault first, only to be released and become a ghoul? And that's how he knows his wife and daughter is still alive.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, they didn't really go into that. And then it wasn't clear, like, when he's resurrected from the grave with that weird bag.
Mm-hmm. How long he'd been down there.
Yeah. Did they bring him back to life for the first time? Because they also said that he had this long career as a cold-blooded bounty hunter, right? Like, he had a reputation for that. So it seemed like he had been around for a long, long time.
But a long career in that world, everybody else is only living, 30 to, maybe 40 to 50 years in that world. So a long career to them could be 20 years, as opposed to 219,
Yeah. So the only thing is that he has a ghoul that he would be living longer, but
his lifespan is longer. Yeah.
Yeah. But
they left a lot of story to be told. We didn't mention it yet, but I think it was just yesterday they announced that there's a season 2.
Season 2 has been greenlit and it is coming. Yeah. That was a no-brainer.
Yeah. Are there any trailers yet of that?
Of season 2?
Yeah. Anything?
No, they haven't started any production.
So we know there are going to be some more episodes. And then did they say when they anticipate those airing?
My guess would
next week, probably.
About 3 months. Yeah.
No, probably at least a year, probably more likely 2, right?
I think probably 2026 is probably when we're going to get it. Yeah. But I mean, like, I want to talk a little bit about the actors that are portraying these characters because, I mean, this show had me sold on Walton Goggins.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only name I needed to hear to get me to watch this show.
And he didn't disappoint.
Not at all.
This is my favorite thing I've seen him in, honestly.
I
know there's been some good stuff.
Talk about some of your favorite roles that he's done.
I'm still partial to Boyd Crowder from Justified.
Yeah.
But he's in an episode of Community that he's great in. I know he's in Righteous Gemstones right now, which I'm not watching. Like, he is an amazing character actor. Yeah. And what I really loved is that there are actually 2 Justified reunions in this show.
Okay.
Well, there's one direct reunion, but one of them is indirect. So, the actor that plays the knight that Maximus takes the armor from, that is, oh God, and now his name completely blanked from my head. Michael Rappaport, yeah. Michael Rappaport was in Justified, but the person, the man that wakes the ghoul is Micheletti Williamson, who was also in Justified. And him and his character and Walton Goggins' character interacted quite a bit in Justified. So that was a cool little reunion, seeing the two of them together, even though he kills him. But,
reunion of sorts.
He was still there.
He could do. He's going to be in season 3 of The White Lotus too, so that'll be good.
Oh, Walton Goggins?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I was sold on this show from Walton Goggins. That was the only name I needed to hear to get me to watch the show.
And for me, I mean, I saw the trailer and I was pretty excited to see that Ella Purnell had such a big part in it, because I've been podcasting on Yellow Jackets and it's one of my favorite shows of the last few years, and she had a pretty big role in that. So, and I thought she was good.
Which one again?
She's Lucy. The main character.
So it threw me at first. I was able to get past it very quickly, but her name, Lucy McClane, is also John McClane's daughter's name in the Die Hard franchise.
I wonder if that was on purpose.
It's spelled, McClane is spelled differently, but I don't know. And then the other, when I saw, I guess again, Walton Goggins sold me on the show before I even saw it. And I was a fan of the franchise, so I was already in before I saw trailers. But then once the trailer released and I saw Michael Emerson had a role, I was like, okay, now I'm really in.
Right.
Even though it was very short-lived.
Mm-hmm. And I had thought, I think up until today, that Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan were the showrunners, and they're the two that ran Westworld, but they're not. I think they're pretty heavily involved. Like I said, Jonathan Nolan directed the first 3 episodes and they're executive producers, but there's 2 different people that are the showrunners, but it still does feel very Westworldian to me. Like, I don't want to give away Westworld, but it's got these sort of twists and evil corporations and plans for what's going to happen after the end of society, and similar themes for sure.
Okay. Yeah. So you think they did a pretty good job of the casting overall?
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple people like Aaron Moten who plays Maximus. I'm not too familiar with.
Yeah. And his character is really interesting because he doesn't emote much, and he seems just kind of like some dude, but that actually, you know what I mean? Like, just some guy. The way he acted.
So let me ask you
that actually made it kind of interesting for me, the way his story evolved. I liked him more and more as it went on, until the end. I was really happy he played the role, because it was something different than you might expect. Just in the way, like, he just seems sort of, I don't know, kind of petty a lot of the time, but also likable for sure. You rooted for him, but he didn't seem all that exceptional to me.
So let me ask you, this is a question I have. What's his motivation? Right? Like, because you're saying like his overall sort of personality is just kind of being this everyday kind of dude, kind of dopey. And a bit of
dopey. That's a good word.
He doesn't really know what he's doing. It just sort of falls into stuff. I don't quite know what his motivation is, right? Like, why he's doing all this stuff.
I mean, he got his world rocked when his city was destroyed. We learned later by Henry McClane. Yeah. And he ended up with this Brotherhood of Steel. So he just sort of fell into their world of, well, when you're in the Brotherhood of Steel, you aspire to be a knight. And so but he got treated like shit. So that I think his story was a lot about status and power. So that when he got the chance to get some power, which was a great scene when he put that suit on and threw that, was it a rock or something super far away? That was a good moment. But, and then just got to treat other people like shit, kind of the way he had been. And so I think with him, it was about, okay, now that he has this ability to treat people however he wants, what will emerge from his character. And what emerged is that he's actually a good person and a caring person. So I thought that was a good story.
Other than trying to kill that squire who's going to rat him out. But I mean, it seemed to me like once he got the power armor, he sort of acted like the jerk knight Titus before, and just
for a while,
war trip. And it was just like, yeah, I can do all this stuff that I couldn't do before. And, just sort of get back at people for, him being powerless. Yeah. And so I'm still trying to figure out what is his motivation? What is he even doing?
A bit aimless.
Yeah. It's like, but it's sort of like, they made it sound like he was like this, down and dirty character is willing to stab people in the back to get his way, get whatever he wants. They had him on that pseudo trial, and everything. But again, it's not clear if he had any ambition or if, again, he just sort of fell into this and it's just like, well, I got this armor, I guess do cool stuff. Although he did let the knight die, which was pretty cruel,
But then that was
also
the point,
a dick to him too.
Yeah, he was a dick to him, but later on when he confessed to Lucy that he did that, because she had asked him to come and live in her vault and basically marry her, right? Yeah. And I thought it showed a lot in his character that he confessed to that first. He didn't want to mislead her, misrepresent himself, and then she accepted him anyway. And I feel like that really made a relationship that I thought, I'm not sure I believe this, more like, oh, this is so touching. Like she's really bringing out the best in him. Like she's the kind of woman that makes him want to be a better man. I feel like as corny as that sounds.
Yeah. And I think his character doesn't really have a lot of motivation. I think it's more a blind fanaticism. Because remember,
he didn't have much opportunity. Really.
Well, the Brotherhood of Steel found him when he was 5 or 6 years old, crawling out of a refrigerator, and they took him in. They're the ones that gave him a home, gave him food. So his motivation is not instilled in him by himself; it's instilled in him by the Brotherhood of Steel. He's living his life, by what they instill in him.
What you do when you're a kid in the Brotherhood of Steel is you try to become a knight.
Yeah. because
they have the highest status and the most power.
Yeah, but that's probably because that's what they put in. Yeah. That's what they make him believe.
Yeah, for sure. But like all of us, that's what we all do.
Right, but then
you deal with what your environment. Right?
I mean, like he basically literally lets his fellow knight die and goes on his word power trip and steals the power armor and goes off and does his own thing. And again, he didn't follow that instilled values very much.
Yeah,
took a shortcut. It didn't take much for him to totally turn on him.
Well, and even at the end when Moldaver is killed, he's taking credit for something that he didn't do. It just kind of happened. It was something that happened by happenstance.
Yeah,
and somebody walked in and believes that he did it, and he's kind of not fighting them on
right.
Yeah,
so that felt so real world to me that probably at least 60% of people would do. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, okay.
It felt believable that someone would do that.
I do think we do see some elements of good in him though throughout, even before he meets Lucy. I mean, you talk about the squire that's assigned to him, Thaddeus, which is one of the kids that one of the guys that was beating on him before he went off with Titus. And he's kind of taking a route with Thaddeus that Titus didn't do with him. He tried striking up a conversation with Titus, and Titus was a dick and kind of made him wash his codpiece.
They picked the perfect actor for that too.
Michael Rappaport, yeah. He plays such a great dick. It's like he's so good at that. And he kind of does do that to Thaddeus at first, because that's how Titus treated him. So he's kind of naturally assuming that's how knights treat their squires. But then he does kind of loosen up, and he's laughing and he's having,
and admitting who he was, which was a bad idea.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Of course it was.
Right after he branded him, which is hilarious.
Yeah. I kind of thought the squire stole those scenes a bit.
Well, Johnny Pemberton is a great actor. I know him from Superstore because he's done a number of episodes of Superstore. But yeah, and the scene where outside of the radio tower with Fred Armisen, when he sets off one of the traps and the arrow goes through his neck and he's, why am I not dead? And you realize he's a ghoul
I felt
now.
like Monty Python or something. But like the different stories, when they were separate, Lucy and Michael Emerson's character, Wizig or whatever, what's his name? Wilzig. And Cooper,
Wilzig.
And in the past and in the present, and then you got Maximus. A lot of times with shows like this, when you switch to, there's like at least one story where like, I don't really care about this one as much. But for me, I liked them all pretty much the same. I was interested in Maximus's story because of that. Anytime you were playing with status like that, this guy who's been kicked around suddenly has this big thing of armor, and what's he going to do with it? That's really fun to explore, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was more drawn, obviously, to the Ghoul just because of my fandom of Walton Goggins. But there is one scene with him that really does bug me, and it's where Lucy lets him go in, or where he goes into the medical center to get the drugs, and he sees the big suitcase full of which is very clearly more than 80 vials, because that's the negotiating number he was going to go with before. So there's probably over 100 of these vials in there. Rather than close the suitcase and just take the whole thing, he just takes handfuls and puts them in.
Yeah.
Just take the whole suitcase.
Yeah. You have a container right there.
Yeah.
Is he going to wear it in his hat?
Just close it up and take the whole case. Nobody's fighting you on him.
Yeah.
Everybody else is dead.
Is that supposed to be he was just desperate and not thinking right and just, I'm just going to grab this with my hands? Yeah, it was weird.
There might have been elements of that feral nature in there that was causing him to do that, because he was starting to change a little bit because he was drained from it. There's one other cameo that is in this one, and I don't know if many people noticed it, but I noticed it only because this gentleman has been on this podcast before. Overseer Benjamin, the one-eyed overseer from Vault 4, that's Chris Parnell from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had Chris on this podcast before a number of years ago, so it was a lot of fun seeing him pop up in there too.
Okay.
And that whole Vault 4 thing was great because we've already set up an expectation that the vault is where the normies are. So then when you go into Vault 4, they're wearing the same. This is, if people listening don't understand, it's when Lucy and Maximus are I forget, they're in a battle or something. They end up injured, but then he wakes up and they're in this other vault. And people seem just like where she came from, but then all of a sudden this guy has one eye and there's somebody with glowing eyes, and then they're all undressing and chanting.
Somebody's got a nose on their forehead.
Yeah.
So
it's great playing with expectations.
That weird sort of naked chanting, was that supposed to be they're making references to, some sort of, cult thing, or is it supposed to be they're making some reference to nudism, or it was some mind control thing? It wasn't clear why they were doing all that.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, you look at this world that we're in, we've all these different things that we've seen. The one thing we didn't see is religion.
Mm-hmm.
That's the closest thing to it that we get in this entire show.
Mm-hmm.
Is that behavior.
And they're worshiping Moldaver, so I didn't totally get that either, but from the origins of Vault 4, or that's the vault where the scientists were doing the experiments, and the experiments ended up turning on them. And then I think the people who were left ended up trying to heal and treat the people who were experimented on. And that's what was up on level 12 that they didn't want anyone to see. That's what I got out of it. Anyway.
I thought that was when they were creating the gulpers.
Well, there was a video of a woman giving birth to. Were those gulpers like fish? The
gulpers, whenever she got kind of swallowed.
Big giant monster.
It's the thing that swallowed the head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
in the swamp. Yeah,
so
I think it was that too. Yeah.
Okay,
mm-hmm.
So,
but that was years ago.
Yeah. So again, it was just kind of weird.
Now the inmates are running the asylum.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, that was pretty disturbing. The woman giving birth to piranhas and then being eaten as.
Oh God, I know. Wow.
They don't pull any punches on the show.
Fun show.
Well, okay, so maybe I'll bring up this. I would put this as hyper violent, right? It was over the top, and I think the reference is that the games are hyper violent, right? Like a lot of that stuff just happens. However, the thing about the games, and again, I know we're talking about it, but the reason I bring it up is because the games are so cartoonish, right? Like Fallout 3 came out for the Xbox 360. We're talking like really old gen consoles here. So none of it looks particularly realistic, and it's all like very, again, just cartoonish, over the top violence. Whereas in these shows, man, these people are getting decapitated and dismembered and burned alive, and every manner of horror and brought down upon them. So where's your guys' thoughts on the ultra violence?
It didn't bother me. I've seen gruesome stuff pretty much all my life, so I don't really. The gruesomeness didn't bother me. There really wasn't a lot of cringe. The only moment in the whole series that made me cringe a little bit, and not for a bad reason. I think it was a good cringe, meaning like that was the purpose of the scene, was when they gave Wilzig his new foot. And it was that grinding thing that was supposed to grind off the stump of his leg to kind of attach.
And he's like, "Ow!"
Yeah. Like I would have been screaming a lot more than that.
I mean, that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Even though it's more graphic than pixelated video games from the 90s, it still in tone feels cartoonish to me because people barely react. You can just sew a finger on and it's not a problem. A guy gets like an arrow shot through his throat and he's like, "Why didn't I die?" And so it feels cartoonish to me.
Yeah. Okay.
I still think, like I had said, if this had come out 20 years ago, it would be the water cooler show. But one thing that's changed, and I think The Walking Dead has a lot to do with this, is gore is a lot more accepted on TV now, and people keep upping the ante, and we just get desensitized to it. So there is a part of me that's like, do we really need that? Like, people feel like they have to do that to make a good show, but it's fine.
Yeah, gore and language are two things that we've kind of become desensitized to. Mm-hmm. And, the show has both, but I don't think either element was over the top in the series at all.
But I do think if someone from, say, 30 years ago saw this, they would just be floored by it.
It's pretty graphic.
What
right?
the fuck? Yeah. Except you'd say, what the heck? And they'd be like, okie dokie.
Yeah, okie dokie.
You could say, is this any more... Oops. Is this any more, or less violent than, let's say, Sam Peckinpah from the late 60s, early 70s even, which was, again, super stylized hyper-violence. So he was known for doing these Westerns where people would get shot over and over in slow motion and blood spurting everywhere. Monty Python. I mean,
that it's on TV makes a difference, too, because I think there has been much more violence in the movies going further back than on TV.
Well, yeah, okay. So again, I was just starting to throw it out there because that's definitely
Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, that's definitely something that carried over from the video game. Was the over the top ultra violence?
Yeah, but again, like it's probably just maybe I don't know if it's because I'm desensitized to it or because I expected it from this universe, from this world, that it didn't bother me at all.
Okay.
I was very accepting of it.
Okay,
the tone really too influences how we receive this stuff. This is, to me, it almost feels like a comedy or a dramedy at least.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of comedy, like when the guy at Vault 4 is like, because Lucy went up to 12 and she wasn't supposed to, and he comes at her with this big giant like machete type thing, and now we sentence you to death by evacuation to the surface. And then he's like sawing,
and he's just sawing
her restraint.
Overseer Benjamin is doing that, like he's sawing at it with a machete.
They couldn't.
We really need to sharpen this.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then oh God, why did I forget his name already?
Overseer.
Maximus comes in with the power armor and just starts tossing people.
Oh, right. See, I thought, okay, they made this goofy moment, but now it's going to turn dark. He's going to come in and just shoot everybody up, right? And I was like, really bummed about that because I don't like when there's violence that could have been avoided and it's because of a misunderstanding, but he didn't. He busted the place up a bit and maybe, bruised a few people, but then it was fine. And she said, don't, and they kicked him out. And I was like really relieved.
Well, even the follow-up moment where she talks him into returning the core.
Yeah.
And she drops it down. They drop it down there and you just hear from down there, thank you. They actually thank him for returning it.
I love that so much that she insisted because she didn't want to kill a whole community, just even though it would help her get back to her father. But the part that didn't make sense is that they let him out with it in the first place.
I thought they just sort of snuck out, but they were sent out with their knowledge that he stole that thing.
I mean, I think
he was in the armor. Were they really going to stop him?
I guess that's a good point. Yeah.
They were just going to let him walk out with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think we might see some Emmy nominations from anybody in this show?
Because it's so genre, I wouldn't be surprised if it was more technical type things.
Okay.
So what would be the categories? What would they be getting awards for?
Best show.
Best show? Okay.
Best drama.
I could see maybe best drama. Actually, they might even put this in comedy. I think it could go in either one.
Yeah.
They might wait to see if they're gonna put it out there for your consideration. They might wait to see what other shows might be nominated to see where they're going to put it, because they nominate themselves. They submit for which category, so they might wait to see which one they have a better chance of winning.
So, So there might be some category playing around with that.
Yeah,
but based on what we've seen, I think isn't it still pretty rare for genre things to win anything? So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't.
Did Westworld or Game of Thrones ever win any Emmys?
I think Game of Thrones probably did.
Did Lord of the Rings even win Best Picture? They got a lot of technical stuff.
Well, the movie actually won Best Picture. Return of the King. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, maybe it will then.
But do you think maybe Ella Purnell or Walton Goggins could be nominated?
I would guess and hope Walton Goggins would over Ella Purnell.
I would too.
She was good, but he was phenomenal.
He's great. And it's what's so funny too is before this show was announced and he was announced to be on it, I was talking to his publicist about getting him on the podcast because I wanted to talk to him just because I love him from Justified and other things. Now that he's on this show, I'll never get him. Never get him.
Keep trying anyway.
I'll keep trying, but I don't think it'll ever happen. You never know. Any other things we want to bring up about the series before we kind of transition a little bit into game talk? Because I know how I'm going to make the transition, because there is one thing about the show I want to bring up to start that conversation, but I don't want to do it unless we have other things to talk about.
The only thing I want to say is that I had a drink with Michael Emerson once, and he was super
I'm
nice.
so jealous of that too.
Yeah,
I know you did. I'm so jealous of that.
He was so good because we did a panel and at Walker Stalker, and he was such a trooper. People would ask all these crazy questions about Lost, and he would do his damn best to answer it as well as he could. And if he didn't know for sure, he would just say what he thought it probably could have been. And then I saw him at the bar later that night, and I was sort of went up next to him to order a drink, but I didn't want to intrude. And he was like, "Oh, hey, that was a great panel." And then we just sat and talked for half an hour or something like that. And it was cool.
When Kristen and I were covering Lost over on Revisited, there was one point where one Monday I woke up and I found all the publicist information for everybody on the show, and I just sent out a mass emails to everybody to try and get people on. And Terry O'Quinn's people got back and said, well, he doesn't really want to talk about Lost anymore, he wants to move on. I was like, okay, whatever. Michael Emerson's publicist got back to me and said, oh, he would probably love that. Let me see if I can get him, get a hold of him, because he still loves talking about that show. And then scheduling wise, it never worked out, but I could see him, because of the stories that you told and knowing what I know from his publicist, I could see him being that kind of person.
He was. And, if you watch Lost, he's a wily guy, he's not to be trusted. And he was just so sweet and nice in real life, or just in that few minutes. Who knows? Maybe he's actually just like Ben Linus. But when I saw him in this show, I've been conditioned not to trust him. So even though he came across as a good guy, as a character, I was like, what is he up to? But he just turned out to be a good guy.
Maybe I'll reach out to his publicist again to get him on for Fallout. Like that'd be
try it out.
Kind of be good too. But yeah, he is. I mean, and he's such a great actor in the sense that, talking about Lost again, he was only supposed to be on 2 or 3 episodes,
right,
of the show, and then he ended up being on the whole rest of the
series. They liked him. Yep. Lost was good about adapting to what was working.
Yeah,
yeah, you could say his role is probably one of the most iconic series.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody
and Ben and Nikki and Paolo, not so much.
Not so much. No. Thank God they didn't make it onto the show.
Well, I'd say let's just go right into it.
Okay, so with that being said, the end of the series is a perfect transition into bringing us into the video game world, because it is a big reveal for anybody who is familiar with the video game series of Fallout. Television people aren't, if you've never seen the series before or never played the games before, you're not familiar with it. You are not familiar with the city that we see at the end of Fallout.
Well, I do know that the highest rated Fallout game is Fallout New Vegas, but that's all I know.
And that is what we see at the end of season 1 of Fallout.
Well, and then we see the NCR, right? Like
wait, are we getting into spoilery? Should we warn people now that?
Probably a good idea.
We didn't talk about the games that far. We just talked about, now if we want to talk more.
And if you don't want to hear things about the games that could potentially come up in the series in the future, then you should skip to the listener feedback section.
Yeah. We don't know if any of the stuff that we're going to mention is going to make it into season 2, but there's always a potential for it. So if you want to kind of avoid it, now's the time. I'll put it in the show notes, the timestamps for when to come back in for listener feedback and everything else. But yeah, that got me excited because I've never played New Vegas, but I know how beloved that game is. And I was excited to see that.
Yeah. So I think that is something that's was always going to hang over the show, is the comparison to the video games and sort of like the story canon in the video game side versus the story canon in the TV show. And I guess my take on it is that the various games, right, the various iterations of the games are basically in separate worlds, and there's not a whole lot of overlap in the story.
Oh, they're not all like canon to each other? I thought this was just another story in the universe, and do they contradict each other?
Yeah, well, no. So that's what I'm saying is like, they're all basically standalone stories in those games. They don't really overlap at all.
But they're in the same world.
Yes.
Well, it is, but they don't like New Vegas was kind of its own thing and kind of had a unique story that was sort of different than all the other ones. Again, even though some people, they consider that the best in the series, but again, so there's really not a whole lot of overlap. And like you're saying, that the thing about the Fallout video games is that they can just sort of take this, this universe and all of the, call outs and all of the, tropes and everything, and they could just apply it to anywhere, right? Like kind of like Grand Theft Auto, they can have it anywhere they want and make a standalone story for those.
But there's a whole backstory to the world that they have to honor, at least, right?
Right, but again, like they don't get into it that much. They're mostly focused on
there's not a lot of history of Vault Tech and management and all of that in the video games. A lot of it is really kept open and kind of a mystery. The show dives into it a lot more than the games ever did. So the show is kind of giving us more of an expanded look at this universe that the games, because like the games themselves, like all of the stuff that we get in the first couple episodes of the show, and then little scenes here and there of life in a vault, you don't get any of that in any of the games. The games legitimately start with you leaving the vault.
But do you think that the creators of the games have like a Bible for the world that they, and that the elements that they place in the games align with that, and then they probably handed something like that over or consulted with the showrunner so it would all fit together, even though it doesn't come out in the game so much as like part of the story, something like that.
Yeah, again, like you're saying, they have this Fallout universe, and they can, the great thing about it is you can go anywhere and find some new story, right? You can go find some forgotten settlement, or you can find some underground vault that was abandoned, or you can find some, weird mad scientist's hideout, right? It's just like, it can be anything. There's all kinds of factions that you can get involved with. There's a lot more robots in the video games, and there's whole factions and storylines with those, particularly, like they had the Robo Brain, right? So they figured out how to put brains inside of robots and control things. So I think that's sort of the brilliance of the whole thing, and why I think it leads well to these TV shows, is because, again, canon is just not that big a deal, right? Like, they can just make up whatever shit they want, or they could just go, or how about this? They can go off on a different storyline and don't have to really worry about continuity all that much.
I mean, it's like, okay, so like, for example, Star Wars, big sprawling universe, but if, like, especially Dave Filoni, the guy behind the Clone Wars, if he does a story, he could do his own standalone story, but the dressing that he puts around it, the creatures that he puts in, it's all going to be something that makes sense in the universe. You may have seen this type of alien before, and if they're like, especially in doing mining this alien, then they might be miners in this standalone story that he does. So I guess my point in saying all this is that even though the story itself could be unique in the different games, there's still like a cohesiveness to the background, maybe. But you're saying not so much. It doesn't matter. It's just irradiated world, and that's all.
Yeah, well, the tropes are there, and again, that sort of universe, right, where that world is, again, this, everything is stuck in this post World War II, 50s hyper optimistic, corporations are your saviors or evil, all that stuff. And then all the call outs, again, how Nuka-Cola is such a big part of the universe, to the point where it's their money.
And they pay with bottle caps. Yeah.
So again, like, there's, again, all these things, again, like all the food, Yum Yum deviled eggs. We had the dirty water, right? She was drinking the irradiated dirty water. All the various guns, right? So maybe I just sort of mentioned that, and I kind of brought this up before, is that it's almost the same game as Skyrim or Oblivion, Elder Scrolls, right? It's the same game engine. They use the same scripting language. They use the same, like, voice actors, the same sounds, atmospheric sounds are the same. It's like,
and they're all RPGs, so the same style of game, which is a role-playing game where you take a character, but then you kind of build them up, their stats and stuff over the course of the game.
Well, and so again, the big open world, and again, you can upgrade everything. There's
different.
Well, one of my favorite nods to the game, in the very beginning, when Lucy is sitting down and she's talking to the overseers of everything, we get her listing off all of her traits. That's basically building your character. That's creating your character for the game.
And that's on purpose.
Yeah, she's talking about like her strength. She's talking about her charisma. She's talking about all these different statistics that you have to do when you are creating your character for Fallout.
Love that.
And then the Pip-Boy, which is the computer that they wear on their arm, I was always trying to look at the screen of that when I was watching, because you have the Vault Tech, Vault Boy on there, with like all these different numbers, and that's what you have in the game. Like, you look,
that's like the interface to check your stats and stuff.
It's your map, it's your stats, it's your health status, it's everything.
So it's the PDA, right? Like most games have a PDA. So it's this one, although it's huge and
chunky. Yeah.
So it's actually, I thought that was kind of weird that you would have that in the TV show, because it's completely not practical, right? It's this huge thing strapped to your arm that gets in the way of everything, and it's really clunky how you have to do everything. But again,
this show is heightened, and it's in its own like atomic age
but
reality, I think it fits.
Well, I mean,
they still have cathode ray tube screens.
They need a PDA for the game, right? You got to see all these menus for all this stuff, right? They got to do it, and then they want to have it look stylized, right? So you're not going to have
it. Also became like there's a theme of us versus them, or individualism, conservative versus leftist kind of a thing. And I feel like this became a symbol of if you're on one side, if you're wearing this thing, that means it's kind of like a MAGA hat, not the same idea, but just, I only say that in a way that it identifies you as a certain kind of person, and other people don't like it if they see you have one of these. So I think it functioned in that way.
Yeah. So it's specifically vault dwellers.
It's like Cooper said he lost jobs because he did the commercial for the vault. And
So the idea is like, it was supposed to be only vault dwellers have these, and in the games, you would have random NPCs go, wow, you got a Pip-Boy. I've only heard of those. Like it was this totally rare thing because you hardly ever see vault dwellers. But they had multiple Pip-Boys for sale in the merchant shop in Philly, amongst other sort of call-outs from the video games, like the bobbleheads, right? You saw those bobbleheads?
I didn't notice in the show.
The Vault Boy,
Those are skill upgrade things.
They're permanent. They're permanent skill upgrades. You get like a +1 permanently to a skill, depending on which bobblehead that you find in the game.
So it's one of these things. Like in a lot of games, it's those things that are hidden that you're supposed to find, and it makes you go explore, right? Like, or you get bonuses for. So that's what they are. They're basically just ways because they're just hidden everywhere. So you just got to go find them. So it encourages exploration. Yeah. So so again, that's another call out. So if I was to say, what Fallout is, the game, right? It's just a big open world that you explore, and you'll find, like, again, anywhere you go, you'll find some funky, weird character or person or robot or something, or you get in a fight. But again, it's just like anywhere you go, you'll find something cool. So it really makes exploration a big part of the game, right? Like you're going to see this huge world, and you're going to go out and find all the cool stuff in it. So skill upgrades is the other one, right? So you got to do stuff that gets skill upgrades, and then you're doing a lot of fighting, right? So how hyper violent the TV show was, it's 1/10 of 1% even of the fighting in the video game. Constantly getting in.
Last of Us is the same. I always said if Joel killed as many people on the show as he did in the game, you would think he was just a psychopath.
Yeah.
We also, you also talk about too, we talked about how the differences in Lucy's character, how, at certain times she's all bloodied up and she's wearing all this miscellaneous armor. Well, that's your character in the game too. You start in a vault jumpsuit, and as you progress through, you get all these different types of armor upgrades that you're constantly swapping out because you're taking them off of people that you killed. So Lucy's character does the same thing throughout the game, or throughout the television show too, is that you see her wearing just random different pieces of armor on her body, which is like another great call out to the game.
Cool.
That was
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, that was almost exactly the armored vault suit from the game.
Yeah,
we had that same sort of strapping. So okay, and then the next one, big one. Okay, so there's exploration, skill upgrades, and then I guess you call it stuff upgrades, right? You're going to upgrade your equipment. So there's, all these upgrade stations that you have. You can then, in the Fallout 4 at least, there's a huge variety of power suits. So in the previous ones, there's only a couple. I think the 251 and the T60. But in Fallout 4, it just went over the top. And there's so many power suits.
Can you wear those? You can wear those.
Yeah. You can wear them, and you can mix and match pieces from different suits. And just like in the show, you need a fusion core to power them. Otherwise, they are useless.
That's right. And then you'll notice that the power supply or, whatever in the vault also use one of those, right? So those fusion cores end up being used all over in the game, and you'll find them, because you'll run out of fusion cores, then you can't move, right? And then you'll have to go find one.
Right. Again, and I think just briefly, it's kind of worth it to mention to people who don't know that like nuclear power plants right now are based on the science of nuclear fission, which means splitting an atom and energy is released, but also toxicity, the nuclear waste that's super, super toxic and also dangerous. And we're trying to figure out how to do nuclear fusion, which is what is happening inside the sun. And that's when you smash atoms together, not pull them apart. And there's also energy created in that action, but supposedly it has no toxic byproduct, but we just can't quite figure out how to do it. But if you could figure it out, from what I understand, you could just have a small amount of material that could produce tons and tons of energy for a long, long, long time.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the cold fusion that is developed in the series,
in the show,
and that's kind of when I mentioned at the top of the episode, like the alternate reality that this show is. This is a 1950s where fusion has been mass produced. I mean, cars are run on fusion cores. That's why in this different time, these armored suits and everything, they're basically being run by fusion cores from the 1950s because they last for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So that's why we get all that. But going real quick, just to cut you off for a second there, Doug, going back to locations and things like that. And I think one of the great things that the series has working for itself is when it comes to the history and the lore, the show kind of has a sandbox to work in when it comes to what they're doing in the past, explaining the origin of this world, because the games don't do it. So the shows are kind of working in a sandbox. They that's their own little world to build up that story and create it. And the other thing that the series is working for them as well, in regards to not kind of stepping on things that have already been established in the games, is the fact that Fallout 3 takes place in DC, 4 is in Boston. The Fallout games are on the West Coast, with the exception of Las Vegas. Or on the East Coast, with the exception of New Vegas, which is in Las Vegas. Yeah. So using the West Coast, that's their own, again, little sandbox to use, that they don't have to worry about stepping on the toes of anything that's been established already in the games.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, there's an implied shared universe or shared world, but they just don't overlap. Like most people just don't travel. So you could say that's kind of like a weird contradiction, right? Because there's tons of people and they've got these settlements and they've got things powered, but they don't clear any of the debris anywhere. Everything is still bombed out and rubble and everything. It's like they want to keep it post-apocalyptic, right? Like they don't want it to build or regrow anything. Now, I think it was kind of interesting too that they had this is sort of a difference in the games, that they had some places that were going through forests and stuff, where I don't recall a whole lot of forests in Fallout games. Like everything is just bombed out and irradiated and dead and mutated and weird. So it's like, how'd those forests stay around? But again, I don't know if that's an important point or not, or it's just a difference.
Yeah. Do you guys think that the story of Vault-Tec actually being the ones that caused the nuclear bomb to go off was new for the series then? That wasn't in the game at all? Like that wasn't the intention of the game?
I don't recall that being in the game at all. I think that was a nice little twist.
It is, yeah. It goes along with the whole aesthetic or the world, but it's contradictory, right? Like the various games, they have various explanations, and most of it you'll find like, a terminal somewhere, and you'll see some records, but they never really go into a lot of detail. Like I think a lot of it was just the war with the Americans, U.S. and the Chinese just got out of hand.
Yeah,
it was just a spontaneous thing, and there wasn't any weird, conspiracy or anything. But then there was other things like you get into the DLC, and the DLC has its own thing. So there's actually a Nuka World DLC that I don't really have to go into, but It's probably one of the best DLCs across any video game I've played, and it's like so good. But they had their own sort of like how the military, got their weird, weapons and ended up leading to wars and things like that. So again, like I was saying, like most of these video games is just an avenue to explore these stories. Like they don't get caught up in canon at all. It's like they just you got Caps, you got Nuka-Cola, do you got you have devil eggs, do you got the barrels and the gulpers. Actually, the gulpers is from a DLC, so that was kind of an interesting choice to use there. But again, like the games are just super fun, like I was saying before, because it just, you can just, if you really like exploration in games, it's perfect. It's really great.
They are a lot of fun. Like I said, I'm even getting back into them now. I'm replaying 4 now, and I'm replaying it with the DLC because I've never played the DLC on it last time. So now the DLC is installed. So, and I've already seen, it's already popped up in my mission log to go to Nuka World, and I just haven't gone there yet. One of the things that I wanted to bring up real quick is one of the things that the show kind of did that played a nod to the games is, one of the most iconic things for Fallout is the thumbs up, is the, Vault Boy thumbs up. It's on everything. It's in the games. It's in the show. But the show gave us an origin of Vault Boy.
Yeah.
And it's Cooper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
That was interesting. I think they just made that up for the show, and it's not a bad thing, but
again, like it goes back to what I said earlier, is that they kind of have their own little sandbox to play. Mm-hmm. Like they create this backstory that the games never gave us. Right. So for them,
and it's taking advantage of the format, because shows are much more about story. In general, I mean, than games. So why not tell the story?
Anything, Doug, anything from the games that we didn't get in this season that you would want to see pop up in season 2? Because I can think of one thing I want to see in season 2.
Well, okay. So it was how are they going to start to, sort of get into some of the game mechanics more and then try to explore those? So again, so the big parts of the games are exploration, then scrapping, right? Just going around and finding scrap that you can use to upgrade things, right? So you got to scrap and you got to explore, and then all the crazy weapons, right? So they kind of pointed out they had, I think, like the Brotherhood of Steel Knight, they had a laser rifle sticking out of the bag they lug around, so you can see the butt end of it, right? But I didn't see any. So I was kind of hoping there'd be a lot more crazy weapons, frankly. But anyway, go ahead. So what were you kind of?
So there, I just thought so. There's actually 2 things I would like to see pop up in season 2. In season 1, we got the Brotherhood of Steel, we got the Raiders, and we got the New California Republic.
Yeah.
I want to see the Institute, and I want to see the Minutemen.
Yeah.
There are other factions that we need to see pop up.
So that's a really good point, is that a big part of the video games is the factions, right? Like you come across some settlement, and then it's going to be, the whatever it is, the Raiders, the Brotherhood of Steel, the Institute, the railroad, the ghouls, the merchants, the settlers, and then there's the various monsters, right? And the robots, right? So there's just tons and tons of different factions, right? And then there's a karma thing in the game, so that people know if you're good or bad, and they'll respond to you differently.
Well, I don't know how they would put that into a show. I don't think
because you're not going to see 2 different versions of the same events played out.
I don't think there's ways to bring everything from the game into the series, but
but that is something worth noting, because I've read about it in this particular some other games have it, but where what Doug is saying, I guess, is if you kill a lot of people, then people might treat you differently than if you're nice, right?
Yeah. They'll attack you, right? Like you'll be, so you'll get
a reputation.
Right. So there's reputation with these factions, and if you get too bad, they attack you. And if you good, then they'll be nice to you, and you'll actually get okay. Then so a big part of the games is also the speech, right? So you spend a lot of time in these dialogue trees going through these various dialogue choices, and you got to pick the right ones, right? So it's very RPG in that regard. And then if you have a better speech skill, that they'll be more likely to give you better responses and all these things. I don't know, again, if these game mechanics make sense for the
right
or not, but
because sometimes I think if a game mechanic just doesn't make sense and they try to force it in, then that would be a mistake. Like there's some things that they should just be like, nope, that doesn't make any sense.
I think it would basically just be you're going to come across a character who just seems much more charismatic than anybody else. And that's kind of the way they're going to kind of dive into those different kind of things.
Okay. Yeah.
The only other thing I know for sure I would like to see in season 2, and I know I've seen people online say they were disappointed not to see it in season 1, but the writers and the showrunners kind of said like, well, this was something we were saving for a season 2, is I want to see Death Claws. Now,
did they hint at it? Like,
there's a Death Claw skull.
No, but they also hint at it. Like, remember they were getting dragged away and they ended up in Vault 4, and I thought it looked like a Death Claw or something like that. Maybe I'll have to go back.
I don't know about that. You could be right. I don't know, but I think at one point in the series,
want to see a full-on one though.
I want to see a full-on Death Claw.
It's pretty shocking when you see it in the game the first time.
Oh, it's one of those things that when you're in the game, the moment you see one, you're like, "No, I'm going the other way."
Yeah, it's like holy.
No, I'm going the other way.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm sure they're saving something. Like I did, because I've never played the games, but I know that New Vegas is considered by many fans to be the best one. And so just to see that call out to it at the end, like this is what's coming up next, was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. It's a good one. I think it's let's just say it's somewhat controversial, right? There's very strong opinions one way or the other. Which is the best?
I just before the podcast Googled rank the Fallout games, and I went to 5 different sites, and they all had New Vegas.
Every site has New Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, so much. It's so popular. Like I said, I've never played it, but even at the end of the show, when I saw New Vegas, I was like, okay, we're going to New Vegas. Guess I have to play New Vegas before season 2 comes out.
And there's a Fallout 5 in the works, but Bethesda is prioritizing the Skyrim follow-up first.
Yeah,
so it's going to be a while.
Well, maybe I'll bring up the fact that it used to be single player offline, RPG game. Then they decided, MMOs are where we make all the money in microtransactions. So they came out with an MMO Fallout called Fallout 76,
which apparently has like exploded in players since the series came out.
Yeah, I read it was really disappointing on launch, but has gotten better.
They've made a number of improvements
to the game. But it still isn't listed high in the rankings. It's like mid-level.
I frankly refuse to play it.
I jumped into it for a little bit. I got bored of it pretty quick because I just don't like playing MMOs.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I think, like they dumb down the game mechanics, and there's just, again, the whole thing is supposed to be the Lone Wanderer is the literal name of the main character, and here you are. It's filled with all thousands of people, and like
thousands of lone wanderers working together.
Yeah, right. We're all individuals. I'm just it's interesting that they are going to come out with a new Skyrim in it, single player Skyrim and single player Fallout, because that goes Bethesda just looked like they weren't going to do anything more with single player. Like they were just like, it's all microtransaction MMOs and screw all this other stuff. So, maybe it's because of the show, or maybe because everybody just kept screaming about it. But I mean, remember, Fallout is Skyrim. It's basically Skyrim with different costumes, and
it's the same way. It's the same way that Grand Theft Auto is Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, and
they're both Rockstar.
And LA Noire.
yeah, exactly. it's the same mechanics, you know.
Yeah, just a different genre.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And so again, it's kind of the same game, right? And so if you do like Fallout, you probably would like Skyrim, and vice versa, right? You would probably enjoy it. It just has its unique setting and unique world and everything. But they're pretty damn fun, and you can see why. Again, they really translate to the TV show because it's just unlimited potential. They can make stories anywhere, right? You just walked, down the road, and you get to some other town, and suddenly it's a whole, it's been taken over by rad roaches, and you have to, free the town from being trapped. Or, I'm just making this up, but
no, I mean, they needed to capture kind of what was special and unique about Fallout, which is that sort of atomic age 50s optimism that we talked about, combined with that just depraved mutant dark brutality.
and I would say too, if anybody wants to dive into these games, which I kind of share your sentiment, Doug, like I recommend these games because they are a lot of fun. I would actually say Fallout 4 is probably the best one to start with. One, because it doesn't feel as dated. Some of the other games definitely feel a little dated graphic wise. However, Fallout 4 still holds up in its original graphics, and April 25th, this coming week, they are releasing a next gen update for PS5 and Microsoft Series X for Fallout 4. So it's getting updated graphics. And I think it's a free update if you own the game.
Excellent.
Not only that,
it's already good.
But Fallout 4 actually has a really great intro story that kind of introduces you to this world.
Yeah. Yeah. It is really a good, you kind of get the whole universe really well presented.
And you don't miss anything story-wise from Fallouts 1, 2, and 3 because they're all separate stories in separate cities and everything. So Fallout 4 is a nice kind of like encased, good place to start, good introduction to the world with everything. I plan on going back to Fallout Vegas once I'm done with Fallout 4. Although Fallout 4 might take me a while because I'm falling back into the same thing I did the first time I played, in that
trying to do everything.
Well, trying to do all the side quests, but then I get to a point where you discover a different vault. You discover a new vault, and it's Vault 88. And once you get inside this vault, you meet a ghoul who is still in her right mind. She's actually the
overseer.
She's the overseer of this vault, but there's nobody else. She's the only one there. And you actually clear out this entire place, and it becomes your sandbox to rebuild a vault. And I spend hours in this fucking vault just rebuilding and recruiting new people to come into this vault.
So it's kind of cool because I believe that DLC is the one where, again, you could sort of make your own vaults, and you can be the overseer, and you can actually set up weird, sadistic science experiments and put all the people that you attracted to the vault through it. And you can come up with more twisted and,
Oh, maybe I did play the DLC the first time then, and I just never got to the other stuff because I got stuck in Vault 88 for hours on end.
And it's great because they actually have a really good physics engine, so you can do all sorts of. There's a contraptions one as well, DLC, so you can make all sorts of cool contraptions. Okay, yeah. So, but like, I have to totally agree that while the other games like Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas are considered, the best in the genre, Fallout 4 is a really great way to get introduced because it does cover so much of, where does Vault Tech come from? How do you get there? What are you doing there? How are you, depraved? And, and it launches you right into the world and, everything. And then everything just opens up, you come across all the cities.
And it does show you, how different vaults were very different. Like Vault 88 was a place where people lived. Vault 111, which is the vault you start in Fallout 4, was a cryogenic vault. Everybody in there was cryogenically frozen. So it's similar to the show where different vaults had different kind of ways people lived. Different vaults that you find along the way in Fallout 4 also show you the same thing, that different vaults were different things. Different vaults were different lifestyles and experiments. I want to kind of wrap up the game talk so we can go into feedback because we're already running over 2 hours at this point.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say, and this will be me bringing everybody back in because unless anybody else has anything else about the game talk, then I'll bring everybody back in at this point, and I'm going to mention this one thing because I love this. I love when shows do this, and this isn't game talk, so everybody else can hear this. I don't know if you know this or not, but in the commercial that Cooper records, the phone number works.
It's the 213 number.
You can call it or you can text it, and you get two different things if you call or text.
Okay.
If you call
Don't say what they are.
Okay.
No, let people call. What do you know the number?
It is 213-25-VAULT or 213-258-2858. Call it.
That's Ben's personal number, actually. He just wants to talk.
Oh, shit. Hold on. That was my social security number. Hang on. Call it and text it. You get two different responses.
Nice.
All right.
So I will. I'll leave it at that. You're right. It's good to just let people do it themselves. 213-258-2858.
Okay.
Or 213-25-VAULT. Yeah. Yeah. So call it and text it and just we'll leave it at that.
For a good time.
For a good time, call Cooper. All right. So let's dive then into the feedback for the episode, in which we got quite a bit. So thank you to everybody for all of that and for leaving the feedback. Let's kick it off. We got a couple voicemails as well, so we'll kind of just throw them in as we're going. But Doug, why don't you start us off with the first one?
Me? Okay.
Did you not have it pulled up?
No.
Or did you not know you were going to be reading feedback?
Well, I thought it was from Doug.
No, I put our names in front of each one that I wanted us to read.
He's cool stuff. Okay, so this is from Alicia Stout from somewhere. And she says, as a non-gamer, I'm happy to listen so you can unwind the confusion I have about the show. And it says, to be fair, I'm only in one episode. So, I hope it unwound the confusion.
I think I asked her if she had, I can't remember if she had any particular.
Well, that was Alma.
Oh, that was Alma. Okay.
And then she did leave us some other additional feedback later, so I didn't include the Alma questions.
Okay. But again, I really hope that we did cover a little bit, and maybe some of those mysteries became less mysterious.
And
I doubt it, but I hope so as well.
And I hope you're further than episode 1 at this point.
I bet you Alicia liked it. I have a feeling, but we'll see. I'm curious to know. Roshanda Walker says, looking forward to this. I just finished the series today and I loved it. I'm not familiar with the game, but this was pretty awesome. I hope we get a season 2. I'm sure we will. Well, you're right, because they just announced it.
Just announced season 2. Joe Levine, I think is how you pronounce it. Never played the video game, but loved the show. Hope they keep it going. I always love Walton Goggins and just about everything, which is what got me to give it a chance. But I think it was well written and entertaining. And I'm right there with you. Walton Goggins drew me in.
He's in another show I've been watching recently, which is Invincible, where he plays Cecil, I guess.
Oh, he's in Invincible too?
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
All right.
I still haven't started it.
Oh, you got to watch that, Ben. You're going.
I know.
Okay. So now we've got one from Jennifer McGinley, and she says, I've only watched episode 1, so I won't be able to listen. You still should. Or contribute much, but I really liked it, but had no idea what was going on. So that kind of echoes a little bit when my original watching the first episode. But after reading a great in-depth recap, it's all made clear. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. That clicks once you understand a lot of the stuff that are just references. Great visuals. Looking forward to the rest, which I'm trying to tune into, but keep getting distracted by decision to watch The Sopranos 20 years after everyone else. Hey, we all got a media queue, we got to get through it. So,
and that is that show really influenced the TV landscape in a big way.
Yeah. And all I'll say is don't stop.
Don't stop, never stop. Okay.
Fade to black. No, just kidding. All right.
That's why I said don't stop, because that's where it fades to black. Sorry, spoiler.
Okay. Catherine Peters says, I thought Ella Purnell was amazing in Yellow Jackets, but I love her so much more as Lucy. I could definitely see that. I haven't played Fallout in years, so the ending was a complete surprise. They did a great job of including so many details, but my favorite was Meat Dog, aka CX404. I was yelling, "Where's the stim pack?" when she got stabbed. I'm ready for season 2 and maybe a replay of Fallout 4. So many people are going to be replaying those games.
Like I said,
should we should we bring up it's dog meat? Actually, I think should we say anything about dog meat? Because obviously they had a pretty big part of the show. He ended up being a companion for Lucy and the Ben, and with Cooper. So
he's in the game. Dog meat's in the game.
Oh, dog meat is the first companion you make in the game in Fallout 4.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, like we don't get a dog meat backstory. It's just sort of. I mean, I think it eventually talk about a little bit, but they don't really, like
in the games.
Yeah, he's just.
He's just a dog.
We got the backstory in the show.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's kind of new in the games. We don't really, saved. Yeah,
cool. Alma Contreras says, "Well, I binged the whole thing in like 2 days. I thought it was a very well-produced show. My favorite character was Lucy from the start to the finale. I kept thinking, this girl's going to get hit after hit, but still keeps going. Oh, this girl keeps getting hit after hit, but still keeps going. I had questions about the ghoul. He is basically a zombie guy, right? Sort of. I felt bad for him in his never-ending search for his family. I think once I tune into the podcast, I will understand some things better. Catch you all real soon."
So. I loved, speaking of the ghoul being sort of like a zombie, I feel like they're much more like zombies once they go feral and mindless. And I really liked when they got to the Griffith Observatory where Moldaver had her headquarters or whatever, that there was just a zombie sitting at the table there, and it was Lucy's mother, right? But
yeah.
It was it was just kind of funny to see. Oh yeah, there's a zombie just sitting right there.
Well, I like the two that when he when he runs into the other ghoul who's kind of like half buried in the sand and like on the verge of going feral, and he's having that conversation with him, like, trying to keep his head about him, but trying to keep him there, but he just doesn't do it.
Yeah. Okay, so here's one from Brian Seidel. Hope I said that right. As someone completely unfamiliar with Fallout, I assume the game and the show, I did enjoy episode 1. Good script, good acting. I love the look and feel of the 1950s / but in the future sets. Episode 2 was not as good, but still enjoyable. I'm not sure what direction the show is going. It is not as dark as most dystopian stories. Wow, that tells you something about TV today. So it's not as dark as most dystopian stories. A bit of humor mixed in. Never having played the game, I have no idea what Easter eggs I'm missing. I will have to give the rest a view.
I hope you watched it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, I hope these people are watching after episode 1.
I have an update. Brian Seidel is a friend of mine. He has given up on the show.
Oh, wow.
He did not make it past episode 3, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
He said it wasn't clicking with him, and he was giving up on it. So,
because I really think some people who need, I don't know if Brian's like this, but want more of that cohesiveness and depth, would like the show better if they did finish the whole thing, and it didn't just feel like this crazy fantasy adventure, but had more of, oh wow, there's connections and meaning and stuff later on.
Yeah. It's a bummer. Maybe I can talk him into going back to it at some point.
I don't know. Maybe he just didn't like it.
Yeah, maybe. He probably won't be listening to this since he's not watching the show anymore. So, but let's go to the first voicemail we have. And this comes from Sam, Sam from Boston, I believe.
Yep.
Hi, it's Sam. I really liked this from that ending. I'm guessing season 1 of Fallout. I thought they did a really phenomenal job. And with that cliffhanger of an ending, I'm guessing they're pretty confident that there's going to be a season 2. When the ghoul said, "We're going to go meet the makers," I said, "Yes, please, let's go." And then I looked at how much time was remaining in the episode and realized I won't be getting that for at least 2 years. I mean, the show was just so well done, at least for me. They had violence, gore, action, comedy, well-written characters, and some decent mysteries and pacing. Sold. You got me. I'm in for the long haul. And the music I thought was such a great touch because it was the music, I'm guessing, from the 50s and 60s, which would make sense because that's when they dropped the A bomb on the United States in that timeline. So there wouldn't be new music. I mean, they wouldn't be having Miley Cyrus and T Swift around at that time. Even if they happened to be born, I don't know that there's a lot of airways out there for them to make their music. So I thought they did a really, really great job of reminding us that civilization ended. So I thought that, juxtaposed with the music was great, kind of like The Watchmen meets Silo. And the Ghoul and Walton Goggins knocked it out of the park again, at least for me. Just such charisma, charming, just pulled me in every time. There's such a duality to that character where he was doing awful things, and yet I could see where he was coming from and relate to him in a way that I don't know if I would make those decisions, and yet I understood why he was. It was just really a fascinating portrayal, and a lot of credit to the actor and the writers. And Lucy, oh, such a great character. I don't know, I really related to her in these situations. I also say okie dokie a bunch. So I thought that she was such a great character as our into this world, and also didn't fall into those damsel in distress tropes. She got herself out of those situations, which I really appreciated. For season 2, I want the show to not kill off any more dogs. Please, no more. I do want that serum for my cat, though, because I do want her to live forever, and I can give her those little injections that the Ghoul used to remain cognizant. So what are your predictions for season 2? Also, I could use a little help. What did the meaning of that city at the end? Like, obviously the makers are in there, but were we supposed to have recognized it? And I just didn't. Looking forward to the podcast.
Only if you're a gamer.
Thank you, Sam. And they didn't kill off any dogs.
No, he did.
He survived.
Well, he had to get revived by the Stimpack.
True.
Yeah, he's not dead.
Yeah.
So she said she could understand what Cooper did, even though she wouldn't make the same decisions. What about when Cooper drank all the water from the canteen except for the last little bit, which he poured out?
That was one of the most dickish moves of any character I've ever seen.
And then she had to drink radioactive water after that.
It's so funny because during that scene, my mother actually happened to be here and was watching that episode with me. And when we both, I think almost at the same time, when he dumped out the last of the water, I think almost in unison, we were both like, what a dick.
What a dick. That's
pretty much.
All right. Great to hear from Sam. Here's Jack Shandle, who says, never played the game, but love the concept of this show. One episode in, and it's been a fun ride. Why people aren't binging as fast as we did? Why did Vault 33 just let them in without at least sending a rep to their vault to check things out? Did they not have previous visits to know each other's status? I kind of agree with that, to be honest.
I think we kind of got the explanation for that is that all the leaders were 31.
Well, so that they were,
but 32 and 33 had been in contact at least to some degree. So how come they didn't say, "Hey, things are going bad here. We're all killing ourselves," or whatever?
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think they kind of hand waved it by saying that they would just unquestionably believe in anything they say and go along with it.
Yeah,
part of that. But again, it just seemed like, man, like they wouldn't forget. Oh yeah, what are those guys? They kind of look different.
Jack goes on. I'm sure there's more to it, so I will be looking forward to watching the coming episodes. What's up with the coffin guy Ghoul? Is he the cowboy dad from the birthday party? Yes, he is.
Yes.
How does that work? I don't know. Very cool show.
We cleared that
up. Becky Fenner Anderson says, I loved it. I haven't played the game, so I wasn't sure what to expect. I saw it being discussed, and since it was about an apocalypse, figured I'd give it a shot, because who doesn't love a good apocalypse story? It did not disappoint. I finished it in 2 days. Nice mix of suspense, mystery, and comedy, and the set designs are amazing. Each story was great, and I liked how they all came to know each other. Matt Berry's part as Snip Snip was so good.
Mhm.
Definitely my favorite part. I liked the twist at the ending, and I'm hoping there will be a season 2. There will be, so you're all set.
Okay, so we have one from Paik Allen. And he says, I went in with zero expectations. Video game adaptations are hit or miss, yeah. And miss hard when they do, yeah. But from the pilot, I was hooked and shocked by how incredibly good it was, which I should have known based off the cast and especially the showrunners. By the way, God, I miss Westworld. Okay. Want to bring some back. Plenty of fun connections to the game, but doesn't make them a prerequisite for enjoying and following the story. Plus, Walton Goggins just gogging all over the place at his peak gog, and then chef's kiss perfection.
I think I heard rumored that Westworld might not be done.
No, really?
Yeah, I think I heard
didn't
rumor
hear
that the
that.
showrunners said that, like, even though HBO ended it, they're not done telling the story.
Like Stars might pick it up or something.
Like maybe they might pitch it to somebody else. I don't know.
Interesting. Because David and I covered the first 3 seasons, and we just didn't even get around to 4, and we were thinking about getting to it, and then they canceled the show, so we never did. But maybe if they pick it back up again, we'll go back and cover it.
Yeah.
All right, Heather Callahan says, I watched all of Fallout on Prime. Yay to Heather! You watched the whole thing. I loved it. My little Fallout nerd heart was so full. Every song I could sing along with, every Easter egg, every performance, perfect. The set design was impeccable, from the curvature of the Tato vine to the holes in the vault structure. It was perfect. Every time I thought they missed out on a set item, it was there in the next episode. Oh my God, I loved it. The story was very Fallout with all the good, disturbing twists. Ghouls are my favorite character type in the Fallout world, and I got plenty of that as well. I have so many hopes for next season, like super mutants, children of the atom, and synths. No, Snithes.
Snithes.
That's what she wrote. I haven't played the game, so I'm not
misspelled.
sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
I'm glad. That's great.
But that takes us to another voicemail, and this one comes from Mark.
Hi, Ben, Jason, and Doug. This is Mark Kirkman. I really, really did enjoy Fallout. I'm enjoying the fact that you actually are covering this, because you guys are probably going to bring to light a lot of things that I don't know about the game in comparison to the show and how they did it, because I know there were a bunch of games over the course of years that this was based upon on the RPG. You guys both know, Jason and Ben know about me that I really don't do well with RPGs. I try, and I deal with one game for months, and it's just terrible. I'm terrible at the games. But I really did enjoy the show in a sense that they pulled it off with another show that's based upon a game and giving us a story and structure. And getting the story across over multiple episodes, and then leading into another season, which is awesome. I'm glad that we're getting another awesome season from the show. It's definitely better than what we got out of Twisted Metal, but I don't think that was more of an RPG. That was more of like a game style play. I don't think there was much story in it, but I enjoyed it to some degree because it was interesting. But this one really captivated me because it kind of gave us a huge story about the apocalypse, how the apocalypse happened, based upon companies and how they're trying to literally rule the world and control who was behind it, what happened, and where it goes after that. And then, other people involved with their own ideas after the fallout, quote unquote. No joke or pun intended, but I really did enjoy it. And the scenery, the characters, and everything and how they developed it was really, really good. I loved Ella Purnell. Walton Goggins was amazing. And Kyle MacLachlan, especially when they de-aged him. It wasn't the greatest de-aging, but it really worked, I felt, in the show. But getting those stories across and how they were able to execute them and get them to us, perfect, I thought. I just love the storytelling. And definitely the scenes and how they were able to make it. I love the world and how it was in there, and the knights and their helper or their squire. I like that aspect of it. But my question to you guys is, how does it translate from those stories, from those games to the show? Did they combine a bunch of the games for the story? Because I know with things going into like what looks like the 50s element and to later on and where we're at, and was that something that they combined? But I'm sure you guys are going to discuss it and go into more details. My favorite episode was episode 3. So, of course, they give the whole backstory of the ghoul and what happened to him. And then we got more stuff out of that later on, which I did enjoy. So, anyhow, I just wanted to say I look forward to hearing what you guys are saying about the show. And I look forward to your take on it. Bye.
Yeah, we kind of already discussed it's kind of its own thing. It doesn't really combine. It takes elements from the world that the games are set in, but it's not taking anything from any of the other games.
But I think even not, maybe I shouldn't even be talking because I haven't played the games, but it's clear to me that the games have that tone of the optimistic 50s atomic age with the weird product names like Cluck-O-Matic or whatever. No, that's not one, but things like that, combined with the brutality and of these depraved thieves and mutants and things like that. You know what I mean? That feels like the core of
well, I think one of the things that we didn't even, I almost audibly said fuck when it came up, but we didn't even mention Kyle MacLachlan at all in our discussion when we talked about the cast.
He wasn't in it much.
He's only in the first and last episode,
but he's in it.
He's in it. Yeah. But I think one of the things that I didn't really think about, and I'm kind of realizing it as I'm replaying Fallout 4, is the fact that, I've mentioned the kind of the alternate world in this one. It's a 50s aesthetic, but it doesn't take place in the 50s.
Yeah.
Neither does this. Yeah. It's 2077.
It's 2077. Exactly.
So it's just an alternate reality.
Exactly. It's a 50s aesthetic, but in our future. Right. Where it's still that way.
It's either an alternate reality or they're just positing that somehow we went back to that.
Yeah.
In the next 50 years.
I mean, it's basically an excuse to have this very unique visual design, right? And they had to sort of build around it, but it works. It's good enough, right? It's good enough.
It's visual design and a tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to mention one thing again. He's talking about translating the video game. One of the things that it works well in Fallout's favor is that, like some of these video games, they're just going to follow the video game, right? And so if you've already played the video game, you kind of know everything's going to happen, right?
Good point.
And for me, that's always
like Last of Us.
Yeah, it's always been kind of a thing that keeps me from enjoying these things because I know what's going to happen. I played that game, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just the inevitably waiting how they're going to do it. Whereas in the Fallout show, again, they just have to catch the right tone and get that universe right and get all the call outs. Yeah. And you can do
original
anything.
Story.
Yeah. It's just so open-ended that you can just make any story and any character out of it. And I hope that bodes well for more seasons that, again, they just like people are just going to literally shit themselves when they have New Vegas. I'm not even kidding you. It's going to be the biggest nerdgasm.
Buy some new underwear, people.
So, but again, it's probably going to be totally different than the video game. Like they'll cover some different story, but again, they'll have the characters and the setting and all that stuff.
All right, only a couple more feedbacks to go. Like 3 more, and then one more voicemail. So we're almost done. Next one comes from Michael Darwin. He says, way behind in my watching as my schedule and my wife's don't overlap much at the moment, and we watch The Walking Dead together. Wrong show. I have seen the first 3 episodes, and I like it a lot. Don't know how it ends, but so far, it's their best spinoff. He's talking about the wrong show. Oh, wait, this is for Fallout. Whoops. Sorry, chaperoning a class trip to Orlando. Anyway, I'm in the same place with Fallout.
He's talking about the ones who live, I think.
Yeah. I just like it. This was actually 2 different posts. I just combined them to kind of make them this way. So I read this one ahead of time. Anyway, I'm in the same place with Fallout. They capture the game's world and atmosphere without directly aping the gameplay. Big advantage to adapting an open world sandbox rather than something driven by a very specific story.
Just what Doug was saying.
Yep. More importantly, they have crafted a good story with compelling characters, and they are pioneering this new storytelling technique in which each episode actually moves the plot forward.
That's funny.
All right. So yeah, that's all good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Good stuff.
No notes.
Okay, and then we got one from Evan Brookman. With so many video game to screen iterations being lackluster, we lucked out with The Last of Us and now Fallout. Both very, very different pieces of entertainment, but both really good. I like Fallout for all its doom and gloom and awfulness, still found a way to occasionally keep it cheerful. I mean, if you can't have a laugh when a mad robot is attempting to harvest your organs, when are you supposed to laugh? Okay, it's a good question. The two younger leads were good, but Walton Goggins, given just little bit to work with, could hold a master's class in acting. He's rarely disappointed, even though he's not usually the most likable of characters. He brings it. He's smooth and savvy, even as words drip with disdain. Yeah. He's always a potential show stealer. He's a show stealer, maybe without a nose. Yeah, okay. I give it a solid 8 out of 10 bottle caps. Okay, so we're all on the same rating scale.
Yeah.
Further note, I quickly breezed through the episodes. I was kind of mid-level fan of the game, and I know there was way more connective tissue to the game than I caught on the first watch. This is the first show in a while that I'm really looking forward to a rewatch. I'd like to catch some of the fun stuff I missed on my first trip out of the vault.
I might watch it again too.
Oh, I'm definitely going to watch it again.
Yeah. It's a show you want to watch again. Nice, Evan. All right. And finally, for the written feedback, Derek O'Neill says, Fallout always sounded like a brilliant premise for a game, but having tried to get into it, I was never able to get past the opening. I wonder which one he means. 4, probably. I don't know. Or 1.
Oh, I don't know.
I think 4, because 4 has the most involved opening, I think.
What Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy have accomplished is a great and surprisingly funny show based on that great idea. The cast are perfectly suited to their roles, with Walton Goggins knocking it out of the park as the guy who just rolled with it to keep his fame and please his wife before the apocalypse, having to adapt and overcome for 200 years. He didn't roll with it. He what did he do?
He rolled over people, I think.
He what do you call it when you put a listening device on someone?
Bugging?
Yeah, he spied on her and then he divorced her, which is something I miss. Like the first episode, he's doing the birthday party because he needs alimony. He needs to make money.
Oh, that's right. They're not together in that first episode.
Yeah. So then you are supposed to, then you see them together later and, oh, what happened?
I forgot about that.
He goes on, Elle Purnell adapts brilliantly to every situation, from the hopeful potential housewife to the adventurer. Well said. Aaron Moten is great as the willingly conscripted soldier turned worldly defender, and even with less screen time than I expected, Kyle MacLachlan is so watchable as Daddy Dearest turning heel. From a personal opinion, lackluster game to a truly fun TV show is a miracle. Here's hoping season 2 will continue the excellent story. Looking forward to your deep dive. Great to hear from you, Derek. Good.
Yeah,
good message.
I was really happy to see that he left us some feedback for this. Yeah, because I always appreciate his takes on everything.
Yep.
I think it's pretty. I think a lot of what it seems. We still have one more voicemail from Anwin too, but from all the written and the voicemails we've gotten so far, it seems like people are pretty on par with the ratings of the show. Everybody seems pretty pleased of it, and it seems that
except for your friend,
except for Brian, who gave up after episode 3. But I think it's also safe to say that maybe we're on an uptake I think maybe producers and writers are starting to learn what needs to be done for video game adaptations, because we did see Last of Us was hugely successful.
Good story.
Yeah. Bring a good story
don't
into it.
Try to be the game on TV, but take the game and adapt it to TV.
Yeah, because I think the next one that's going to be under a really heavy microscope is BioShock. Because
that's coming out.
Netflix is doing a BioShock adaptation. So
see, now I haven't watched it, but I did play Halo 1 and Halo 2, and I've heard lukewarm, mixed, some outraged reviews of how they've done the show, with some people saying it's pretty good, So it's very mixed, though.
Yeah,
have you guys watched that?
I hear it's pretty mid. Like it's not awful, but it's not
and it was
great.
pretty mid.
Yeah. Too bad.
So we'll see. BioShock's going to be the next one to watch because that's, I think, probably within the next year or two, we're going to see that from Netflix.
And if that's happening, it's very Art Deco in style and has a lot of Ayn Rand notes to it. So I think it could be similar in a lot of ways to BioShock. To Fallout, very similar to BioShock because it is BioShock. But
it is BioShock
Fallout because visual style and tone and things like that.
And also time, like it also has like a trapped in time kind of vibe similar to Fallout. So it'll be interesting to see how they do it. But that leads us to the final piece of feedback we have, which is a voicemail from our friend Anwin.
Yay.
I was so happy she got this in at the last minute.
Hi, Ben and Jason. I really liked Fallout. I thought it was great. I haven't played the game, but I did get a few background bits of information from my husband who has played it. And after the first episode of him going, oh, that's one of those, oh, that's this, oh, that's that, I kind of settled into it, and I found the world really interesting and fascinating. I thought Ella Purnell was excellent as Lucy. At first she was just Jackie to me from Yellow Jackets, but that only lasted until part of the way through the first episode when she realised that the new husband was a raider and she started her journey towards badassery. It just got more and more fun to watch. She was such a great balance between naivety and competence. She wasn't a damsel in distress that needed rescuing. She was just so kind of matter-of-fact, and her naivety just kind of led her to be a really excellent character that had such high hopes for everything, but also when things went wrong, she just took it in her stride. Okie dokie. Most situations she got out of by her own determination. I really liked Aaron Moten as Maximus. He was great. I often couldn't tell which way he was going to go morally, which was really accurate, I guess, for a surface dweller. They have to do what they have to do in order to survive. All the characters are this way, I found, turning out to be much more morally complex than they first seemed to be. Even who we think are the first, the two main villains, Moldova and the Ghoul, they're both really complex, and you find out so much more about their characters towards the end. I loved the flashbacks so much. Not just the 50s styling and the music, but the character detail as well. Incredible writing that even after the way the Ghoul behaves and treats Lucy, you do feel sympathy towards him by the end. The final scene where Moldova and Lucy's father are both trying to convince her at once that they're right and the other is wrong was mesmerising. Often you get these situations and they take turns to say their lines, but it was really cool and quite distressing that they were both saying it at once, and you could see that torment on her face. Final thoughts. I loved Matt Berry's character. He was so great. I thought there was incredible visuals. It was great music, really good pacing and storytelling throughout, and satisfying ending, but also excited for season 2. Thanks so much for covering the show. I really look forward to hearing it. Bye.
Thank you, Anwen.
Well said.
Yeah, that was pretty well thought out.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Maybe I would just bring it up, been a number of, women with the feedback, and then, we're a bunch of guys here, but I thought I'd just at least bring up that there was a slight mini controversy about the fact that it was a female lead. There's just so much stupidity and toxic masculinity on.
Yeah, I didn't have an issue with that at all.
Well, right. So I guess it was just, I'm just sort of bringing it up. It's clearly one of the, premier, very strong female leads, which is, unusual from a video game perspective, but maybe television as well. And I do think, again, just for me, just as a dumb old white guy, that I think they did handle it pretty well. Again, it was pretty much this character is going through these struggles of trying to come to terms with the world, like literally growing up, before our eyes. And yeah, she has to take on some of the worst, awful and difficult challenges and manage to survive, and through some combination of grit, optimism, and luck. So again, I personally thought it was pretty good, and the fact that the video game has had a playable female lead character since the beginning, I believe.
It's just, to me, it's ridiculous that these days when you have somebody that's not a young white male or a white male as the lead in something, there's a certain group of people who accuse the show of having an agenda, a woke agenda. And I'm like, why can't other kinds of people be the center of a story? You know, if it's not a white male, then you're uncomfortable. Well, get over that. There are other types of people on this planet, and they deserve to have a story too.
Yeah, it's not a, and I'm not saying this to come off political or anything, but the whole idea of wokeism is just bullshit. People are using it now as an excuse that if it's anything you don't like, it's woke. And it's becoming.
You see, the woke meme is everything I don't like is woke, and he's pointing to an engine. This engine is woke.
Yes. It's ridiculous.
But again, I think it's still commendable. I think that again we have a very strong female lead. That again, it's not just that fact that she is a woman, right? I think anyone can sort of recognize and understand that struggle. Again, we're just a bunch of guys here, so we're just sort of talking. But I do think I thought they did a pretty good job.
I agree, and I
again, it's just casting wise and in story and everything. Yeah,
and I'll take it even a step further and say too, like I applaud the show too for the fact that it's a female led show, with a strong female lead who's not an overly sexualized female lead either. Because oftentimes that's what you get if it's a female lead, is it's a character who becomes overly sexualized, right. And Lucy's not that at all.
No, but she there is this, she has sex in it, but it's not a sexualized role, which is great. She's a human being, in other words.
Exactly.
Yeah. I thought it was good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But thank you to everybody who left feedback for and contributed to the conversation. I know I speak for all three of us. I greatly appreciate the fact that they did that.
Doug doesn't care, but we like
it. Let's get ready to wrap things up, and we'll do that by plugging anything that we have. So, Doug, I don't know if you have like a podcast or anything like that. If there's anything you kind of want to plug, or if you don't have anything you want to plug, but you want to recommend people check out, like a show or a movie or something?
Well, I hate to say this, but most of the stuff I've been watching these days is Japanese anime. And it's actually interesting that you were mentioning, we've been talking about these, video game to TV show adaptations. That's all they do. And they do it perfectly. They do it really well. Both directions, right? They're taking an anime and adapting video game and the other way around. So it's kind of uniquely Hollywood when they screw it up so bad because they don't know what the hell they're doing. And it's all just, they just a way to quickly cash in on a licensed property. So I don't know. Anyway, so just a perspective. No, I don't have anything to plug. I'll plug this show. How's that?
Well, what's a good Japanese anime adaptation that someone could go watch on Crunchyroll, say?
Well, I mean, they all are. The anime is actually hurting for money, so they have to do video game spin-offs or base them on video games just so they have a built-in audience and a way to sell more. Mm-hmm. So they all kind of are. I guess the Demon Slayer is a big one that people really liked. Sword Art Online had a really good adaptation. I mean, I guess Final Fantasy is the one that's most well known, and those movies, right? Those standalone movies are really well done, right? Like, it's cool. Again, okay. Anyway, so you should listen to this podcast a lot more.
Okay, and that references either Wilhelm or House Podcastica.
Yes,
actually, I'll say Wilhelm and House Podcastica.
Yes, indeed.
And I'll throw in another recommendation for you to subscribe to Crunchyroll, so you can check out
all the anime
and give them the money. So, Jason, what about you? What's going on Podcastica?
These days, mostly personally, I'm just doing The Cast of Us. We just finished the series that Michael Darwin originally wrote in about, which was The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live, which was about Rick and Michonne. If you're a Walking Dead fan and you fell off, but you like Rick, I would recommend coming back. It was the best. They've done several Walking Dead spinoffs.
It's really good.
And I thought this was the best one. Not everyone agreed, but most people were pretty into it. And that's on The Cast of Us. If you go to podcastica.com, you'll see all our shows on there. We're about ready. We've been doing a rewatch of The Walking Dead, which we're going to get back to. But in between, we're going to cover the Alex Garland movie Civil War that's out in theaters right now. So that's coming up next.
Okay, cool.
Another post-apocalyptic thing.
Yeah, that's what I want to check out because I keep hearing it's not what you expect.
Nope.
But I hear that like a good thing. It's not what you expect. Yeah. So on the Wilhelm side of things, WilhelmPodcast.com is where you can go to find old episodes and listen and subscribe. Last week, I just released my panel with Christy Swanson from Contropolis, New Jersey last year. I'm gearing up for con season again this year. I'm working 6 shows between now and the end of the year.
Wow.
Don't know who my panels are yet because you don't usually know until like a week or two before the show, but I'm sure the guest lists of these shows are already incredible. So I'm sure it's going to be some good shows. Plus, I still have panels from last year I need to release in Chris Sanderson from the Princess Bride, Anson Mount from Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Greg Nicotero from The Walking Dead, which was a great panel I hosted last year, and Molly Ringwald, Ali Sheedy, Andrew McCarthy, and Anthony Michael Hall, members of the Breakfast Club from last year.
Very cool.
Which was a great panel. So audio of all those panels are going to be coming soon. And then more top 5 episodes. We're going to do a top 5 Bill Murray movies, top 5 Star Trek characters. There's a ton of them in the works. And more interviews, more celebrities coming back on. I just got to start booking them back up. Dante Basco is coming on. Mark Summers is coming on. There's a lot of stuff in the works for Wilhelm. So cool. WilhelmPodcast.com or at Wilhelm Podcast on Instagram. But I think that's going to wrap it up for what was a pretty in-depth discussion about the show. I'm sure there's stuff we missed.
Oh yeah,
because
I could keep talking, but yeah, it's a whole season.
Yeah. We probably would have covered a lot more had, again, we done this episodically.
Absolutely.
But, we worked with what Amazon gave us, and that was the full season.
Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Once.
If not, oh well, that's it.
Too late now. We're on our way out.
Yeah, but if you want to, hear us yak more about Fallout, I mean, like we've been talking about, we want to do rewatches and find all those little Easter eggs. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll even go one step further and say, if you notice things we didn't discuss, or there's things that you kind of want to talk about that you might question that we didn't talk about, you know what? Feedback at WilhelmPodcast.com. Send an email. And if there's enough of them, who knows? Maybe we'll get back together and we'll kind of dive into them. We'll do a backup episode.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Doug, it was great to meet you to do this. Thank you for joining for this. Jason, thank you as always. For this. If you are a House Podcastica listener, I recommend going over to Wilhelm and subscribing to Wilhelm, and vice versa. If you are a Wilhelm listener, please go over to House Podcastica and subscribe to House Podcastica. But on that note, thank you as always for listening, subscribing, all that you guys do. But we'll see you on another episode of Wilhelm and House Podcastica. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye. And the bombs go off.